Good evening and welcome to the regular Budget Finance Committee meeting. Today is Wednesday, March 18th. The meeting will now come to order. The first thing on our agenda is to open a joint workshop with the Select Board. The joint discussion items are a budget workshop and a presentation by Don Libby from RTP.
Hey, Don, if you can
try 'em again.
You're up. Yep.
Looks like he's muted.
Hey, Don,
Hello.
welcome.
How you doing?
So do you want to just start by giving an overview of the program since its inception and then overview of the request for next year for the board?
Yeah, I'm trying to turn my volume up. Give me 1 second here. Sorry. For some reason, this volume is not.
You're coming through fine.
Yeah, it's trying to hear you guys. Okay, no problem. All right. Oh, I'm up there twice. Okay. So, the program itself is running. I'm getting an echo, so I'm going to try to. I don't know if that's your room or what, but
Do you have your TV speaker on as well? Don, are you using an earbud?
yeah,
Okay,
I'm on my laptop. So.
if the laptop speaker's on, you'll get the echo.
Okay. So the program itself, we started kind of late in the season last year. October, I think, was the first month we really got it going. The idea behind this program was to provide transit in the rural community right there in Raymond, where you guys would subsidize the cost and the riders would pay $3. And we had pretty good results if you compare it to what we did at the start in Wyndham. I mean, Wyndham, I broke that down in the report, gave you the first 5 months of the Wyndham pilot. And you can kind of see your numbers are better some months or right in line with what Wyndham was doing when we started. To give you a comparison, Wyndham is now doing close to like 400 trips a month in that market. So I think we're heading in the right direction. One thing about this program I always said from the start was that even once you approved it, if you guys decided that, if Raymond decided that, hey, it's not working out, you're not committed to the year. So I think from some perspectives, by at least trying to go forward with the what I'd like to see you do is go forward with the 60, I think I put it in there, 64,000 or 65,000, then bring back the Lakes region stops. I think they go hand in hand. And keep that going. And then if you decide you want to end the Raymond microtransit program at some point, we can always do that. And you're not out, you're not committed for the year or committed all the way into next year. I think your ridership numbers are going to creep up. I think when you have a summer season, I think you're going to see a lot of riders, more than we have right now. I think seeing ridership into the 200s is not unreasonable come June or July. And that's when I think the more people that use it, the more people that are going to use it because it's going to be talked about. What I'd like to see happen next month is do ridership for free for the month of April. And I would blast out a mailer and maybe get into your local newsletter and see if we can't stimulate some more ridership to get the numbers up. because I truly believe that this is the way most areas are going. But I think the only way we're going to get transit and necessary transit for the people in the rural area on 302 is by doing these micro transit programs, because there's just not enough demand to run in-town transit service, you know, like the Metro in Portland. It's just that volume's never going to be there. But I think if we continue this going forward, I think you guys will see some real results. And you know, because Wyndham's proven the market. It's proven it works. I mean, Wyndham has, I think last month we did 351 trips. Oh, and Raymond obviously is part of that because a lot of people go into Wyndham. So you really have no shopping centers or anything like that for your people that don't drive. But you got to go to the next town over. So that's kind of where we're at. I mean, if you look at the report kind of spells it out. Ridership overview, first 5 months, you had a total of 348 trips, and Wyndham was kind of right in line with that the first 5 months they started. The Lakes Region Explorer stop, I'd like to see it come back. That's something we could discuss. I would like to see you guys put on your town ballot and see if they want it come springtime. I mean, come June. I think that's a vital stop for that program, especially as we develop we are doing the point of sale system on those buses, which means that you'll be able to pay without using cash, which I think is always been an hindrance of that whole program. The other thing is I'm looking for grants from the state right now for bus stop, actual bus stop shelters, the Lakes Region Explorer, which I think is part of the reason that ridership has always been somewhat down, is that nobody knows where the buses actually stop, which is, you know, it's a funding issue. So we're trying to get shelters in place for the fixed route system going up and down 302. And then if you guys, and I did put in here, if you decide to do the Lakes Region Explorer system, bring it back at 13,000, which is what every other town's contributing right now, then I would drop the micro transit rate from, I think, the $69,000 rate that you guys are paying now down to $63,000. So it gives you guys two big transit opportunities to put to your residents. I hope that makes sense. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
I looked at the agenda real quick, and I didn't print it because it was like, I think 19 pages on the agenda, but it had all the stuff about RTP. It was like pages and pages of it. I didn't print it because I figured I'd have it when we got here.
I can hand you the handout.
Oh,
right
okay.
here. Can I have your copy?
I don't think there's anything in there.
No, I mean, it was like colorful pages. I mean, it had everything, all the writing and stuff.
It
Go to the,
is this.
That's not,
that's
this is
fleet
just a Word
management. I don't have that.
You don't have the packet?
That was,
No, I don't have the package.
Fred, that was a fleet management one.
Oh, that was a fleet management one?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
It went on forever.
I can share this with you.
All right, well, I don't-
Mine was only like 2 pages.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be in the front of your printout. It says,
The one that was looking at is quick ride microtransit
yep,
report.
that's the microtransit.
Yeah, I don't have that
in there.
You don't have this
I
packet.
think I will get your copies got grabbed up.
No, why don't you-
First, did you?
Frank doesn't have it either.
I don't think he printed enough.
What are you looking for, this one?
Oh, he's going to one.
I don't see it over there on.
Oh, I didn't pull. That was too much.
I have an extra one.
Here, folks,
None of us have one.
you didn't,
Did you grab a packet on your way?
No, I didn't, no.
I have an extra. That's what I have that I printed out too. Somebody wants to look at that. It's double-sided.
It's these three pages.
What's that?
I have a question. I don't know how to raise my hand on this, but if that's okay. Would like to come to that?
It's Derek.
Derek, you go to reactions. Can you see that?
Okay.
It's like a little heart.
Yeah. Gotcha. Thank you.
I'm calling Derek.
I don't have any extra copies. It's all I've got printed out.
Derek? Derek, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was just going to ask, the trips, is that round trips or are those singles?
Those are single trips. So everything we do is based on one-way transportation.
Okay, so that's 30 a week, divided by 7, is 4 a day, 2 people a day.
The service only runs Monday through Friday. Just keep that in mind.
Correct, so the quick math on that is 314 divided by 5 is rounding, makes it 60 a month. And you're only running 28 days, right? In a month. 20, actually maybe only 27 days. So that comes down to 2 people doing a round trip a day.
Not necessarily. I mean, most of our months are, I think there's 20, 21, 22 service days most months. So.
Don, I have a question. We didn't get a chance to meet, but I was going to ask you. If you brought back the fixed route stop, could you access 5310 for microtransit through operating and then supplement our operating with 5310 grants, since you'd have a fixed route stop you could deviate from?
Don't know the answer to that. Don't know the answer to that. But I do know that, there's discretionary funds every spring, every summer. That's what Wyndham was using. And we can obviously ask for some of that funding to keep this thing going as well, so.
Yeah, because if I recall back from my days with MAP 21, if you have a fixed route stop, you can start to access more of that federal funding within 3/4 of a mile of the stop. So is there potential to access more federal funds if you brought a fixed route stop back?
Yeah, I don't know. There probably is. It's like anything else. You don't know unless you try, right? So, I don't want to commit 5310 funds without digging into it a little further. So.
Yeah, because I don't know how the state opens the grants and the applications. I'm not sure how they do it around here.
Yeah, so I'll give you, for instance, like Wyndham's been on that discretionary grant for 3 years because they were targeted by the state, and it got handed to us. So, but I'm sure that there's going to be some funding for these programs. The state wants microtransit in these communities. They want the 302 corridor, with transportation. They know it's a challenge for people on that route to get to Portland and to make medical appointments. So it's obviously an option. My suggestion would be is to try to continue this, and then we can do the discretionary grants, and I can go to them and say, hey, look, Raymond's not going to fund it anymore, or Raymond wants to keep it going, but it's late. And can we divert some of those funds to this, since we have real proven numbers now that there's riders using it, and those numbers are only going to go up. Like I said, the first 5 months, the first month we were crawling because, and even now, 74 trips doesn't seem like a lot, but for microtransit, considering like the month of February, there was really 17 service days because of weather. So the numbers are climbing. I know they don't look great now, but I'm telling you, Wyndham, it took like a year for it to get off the ground, and now 350 a month in Wyndham.
So I have a question. I would just like to understand what Raymond paying $13,000 additional dollars, what service would that provide to the town?
That's the Lakes Region Explorer stop, which the stop was taken away because I believe, now this was before my time at RTP as the executive director, but my understanding is that every town that participated in the Lakes Region Explorer program contributed the same amount except Raymond. And the other towns were threatening to pull their funding if we didn't do something about it, is my understanding. So I think Raymond was contributing 5,000 or 6,000. Everybody else was contributing 10 or 11 at that time. So the stop went away, but the stop was a good, I mean, there was residents of the town of Raymond that were not happy when that stop went away because they used it to get to work. So.
Do you have any information on how many people any feedback from the people, are they using this thing, or they're not using it, or, I mean,
I haven't heard anything directly, but I mean, you can do intercept surveys on the bus. I'm sure if we had interview questions or whatever, Don could circulate them to ridership and get feedback on the service. But
so we'd have no idea how many really people are riding on it or even using it, right?
well, you have the ridership numbers that he provided.
Eric's got his hand raised again.
There is another woman that rides the service that is a big proponent. I can get her name. She's been like handing out flyers and everything else for us. She lives at one of the complexes there.
Okay.
But are these Wyndham numbers or our numbers?
Those are your numbers.
These are our numbers?
Yes.
Yeah, so I gave you Raymond numbers, and then I gave you Wyndham numbers as kind of a comparison because that was Wyndham's first 5 months in comparison. So.
Numbers there by month?
Derek, you have a question?
Numbers by month?
Yeah, I just want to make sure I have the numbers correct. We approved, what was it, 64 or 67,000 originally for the year?
67.5?
67.5, but we paid per month, correct? Because we only had these 5 months?
Correct.
Okay, so I'll redo it. I did it on 64,000, but that's roughly $150. It's gonna be more than that. It'll be closer to $160 per round trip per person that's using it. Seems, those are the numbers I have. I'll redo it. I'll do it 67.5.
And again, I'm just going to touch on that. So when this was approached to me, make no mistake, this was approached to me from somebody that was on your committee last year. I believe she was a town councilor or town select person.
Yes, Teresa. Teresa Sadak.
Correct. And she approached me about doing this because she got some feedback from some residents there that were hearing it that Wyndham is having the service, and they were using it in town Wyndham. So when they were in there, but my conversation with Teresa started with she was thinking that the town was going to at some point do this on their own, and obviously if you guys do this on your own, the costs are way higher. Because buying the vehicle, insuring the vehicle, hiring the staff. So when we broke it down on paper, I said, I could do this for you. I mean, make no mistake, RTP, we don't make money on this. I mean, we break even on this. So, I mean, we do this as a public service, trying to just we want to get transit going in the rural community. But, we're a nonprofit. We're just like when I tell you we're not making money, we're not making money. We're breaking even. So it's not. And again, $150 sounds like a lot when you say per trip, but obviously the more trips we do, that number goes down. So that's what I'm saying. If I'm doing 400 trips a month, then you guys are still paying the same amount of money. The cost per rider is going down. So.
Don, do you have more current numbers for Wyndham? It looks like These are the numbers from 24, not 25.
Right. So what I provided you was the first 4 or 5 months that Wyndham did in comparison, so you guys could see that, hey, we're not far off with how it starts. This is how these things start in these towns. So that's why I provided that. But I can definitely provide you with Wyndham numbers for the last year. I can get those to Glenn, and he can get those, circulate those tomorrow or whatever. But I can pull those numbers. But the numbers are strong in Wyndham. The numbers have been strong for the last probably 12 months.
Debbie Char, Age Friendly Raymond. I think this kind of
There you go.
began when I was driving a lot of seniors around Raymond, and Teresa Sadak, was getting the emails that I was doing that, and she thought it was safer if we tried to go through RTP. And so I deal with a lot of seniors, especially Jordan Bay, and I see increasing, I don't know any of the numbers, but more and more people, someone just tried it again the other day, so I know seniors are giving up their cars more and using it more. But I just don't know the numbers, but I know it's been good for the seniors that I deal with. So.
Thank you, Debbie.
Right, does anyone have any more questions or?
Just a quick one. Where's the stop, or where was the stop, or where would the pickup
The
be?
Lakes Regional Explorer, the stop was at the convenience store right there on 302, which I'm not sure is in business
Sunset Variety.
anymore. Yeah. But obviously, I mean, we're open to putting a stop wherever you guys think that it makes sense. So that's that can be a discussion for another time. I mean, we can put a stop wherever you get, anywhere along 302 that makes sense. We would make it. It should happen.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question. I'm not really familiar with the program, so how far north does your transportation system extend beyond Raymond?
Oh, the Lakes Region Explorer goes
Yeah.
all the way to Bridgeton.
So wouldn't numbers for smaller communities be more helpful to us? Wyndham's not really a comparable community. So
Oh,
do
you
we have
mean-
numbers
well,
for
hold on.
Naples? Do we have numbers for Casco? Do we have numbers for Bridgeton?
Naples and Casco do not have the microtransit program. So Wyndham has it, and you have it right now. And Harrison tried it, and in Harrison, it's not really. It doesn't really. There's been no participation in Harrison. So what they thought they needed and what really happened up there is just isn't working.
So Wyndham is the only one that has the micro.
Correct, right now. I mean, there's other towns that are doing it, like Falmouth has it with the Metro, and Saco and Biddeford have it with Biddeford, Saco, Old Orchard Beach Transit. So,
Who has their hand up? I can't,
Kayla and Derek.
they both do. All right, Kayla, go ahead.
I did have my hand up, but I think I may have answered my own question. I was looking at the comparative insight and the February totals being nearly identical. And I guess just for clarifications, you're talking about this February 2026. Raymond had 75 trips and Wyndham had
Right.
76. So we were, Wyndham only had 76, even though they've had this program since 2024. Am I understanding that correctly?
no, what you're looking at, so maybe I confused everybody with the. So I gave you the first 5 months of the Raymond program and the first 5 months of the Wyndham program when they kicked it off. Okay, so what you're looking at there is July of 2024, which is the 5th month when they started the program in Wyndham. They had 76 trips, so you can kind of see the numbers.
Yeah,
the first
I
5
can
months.
see it now. And I guess, I'm sorry, I was just confused by that for a second.
Now I will touch on the fact that Wyndham's numbers came right in the start of the summer season. I mean, and we haven't even seen a summer season with you guys yet. You know what I mean? So I think getting through the summer season, I think the numbers are gonna keep climbing because the seasonal riders are gonna be jumping on this as well. So,
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
All right, Derek?
Yeah, I adjusted the math for that. It ends up being $161.63 per round trip. Just so everybody knows.
Okay. Cliff?
Would you explain, and I really care what the cost is and what you're getting. Let's start with the Lake Region Explorer, or whatever they call it now, Express. And what's the charge for that to the individual?
$3 to ride that.
Okay, and
bus.
that'll
Yeah.
take you to Portland, right? Am I correct?
That'll take you, yeah, it'll take you one way into Portland, and they get a transfer pass to jump on the metro if they need to.
Okay. That's what I'm just reaffirming what I thought I knew.
Yeah.
Now, what about this mini,
And I believe students and seniors are $2 on that ride. So
what about the mini transport?
the mini transport's $3. It'll take you anywhere in Raymond, and if they need to cross the line into Wyndham, we do that. So if that bus needs to go to Wyndham for a doctor's appointment, dentist appointment, whatever, we'll run the person over there. So
Okay, is there any transfer to the Lake Region Express with that or not?
we haven't had the need to do that yet, but obviously if we would absolutely give them a transfer pass if that was the case.
That's what I thought was explained last year. That's why
Yeah.
I'm just trying to reaffirm those pieces. So a person could, at least in theory, get picked up in the North Raymond Road, brought down and put it for $3, get on the bus, the transport bus, go to Portland, go to the mall, all for $3. Is that true?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
And the other thing I'll mention is, the one thing I'll touch on is all these vehicles are wheelchair accessible. So these all have wheelchair lifts in them. They're all, so if somebody's in a wheelchair, they're accessible for them as well. So
Can I ask a question?
Glenn, yes, of course.
Don, on the fixed route stops, do you do deviated fixed route, or do you require them to come to the stops?
we require them to come to the stop.
Would you consider deviated fixed route, or is that something that's not like flag stops or whatever it is?
We do some flag stops, but they're all along 302. So there is some hailed stops that we will do at certain locations, as long as it's safe to do so. But deviated stops makes it real difficult, and the thing we run into with that is, as you can imagine, is sometimes people have to get to work. We start deviating off the road too much, and now we're holding up other people that need to get to work in Portland. So,
Gotcha. Okay. I was just curious.
yeah.
Okay, any other questions or concerns? Okay, all right, thank you, John. Appreciate your
And
time.
I would say if any other questions pop up, shoot me an email. I'll be happy to answer them. So, great.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate
you, Don.
it. Thank you. Thanks again.
Right.
What about there? Because I learned I can use the HDMI cable. It's very complicated.
There's more cable there.
What's that?
Want me to loosen it? You want?
No, it's fine. Thank you. Phil, how do I,
I'm wondering if you're having a problem with your HDMI port.
I can always share this.
Try.
Share screen on here. Well, I have to join the Zoom to do that.
Okay. Oh,
I can just do it from the Zoom, that's fine.
okay.
Sorry.
I'll give you host.
Yep. All right. Hold on. So while I spin this up, we've got 2 items left. One is to review the revised budget since introduced, and me and Nate have some stuff to go over with like the solid waste contract strategy and the lease program. So I'll start with the revised budget before we get.
Are you signed in?
Not yet. I'm working on.
Okay.
There. Make sure it's muted.
Okay, you have control.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go through a couple slides before we go through the revised budget. So we introduced back in February. And since introduction, obviously, superintendent's been working hard on reducing his budget as well. So the number that you had in your gross expense packet at introduction is down $698,298 since introduction. And part of that is obviously because Superintendent Howell's working on his reductions among targeted cuts and revenue offsets that we've been working on. So your total gross budget as of today is $27.1 million. The amount to be raised through taxation is $23.3 million. That's a 12% year-over-year increase inclusive of the school and county. 86% of that is funded by property taxes. Education is the single largest driver of your budget. It's over 70% of the tax levy and 50% of the over 50% of the budget. The next slide. Sorry. I don't usually do PowerPoints, so bear with me. And there we go. That's why. So here's just a breakdown of what's driving your increase. I tried to break it down by what's outside your control, what you have control over, what's partially controllable, what's fixed. You know, insurance is insurance. We do our best to project what those amounts are going to be at the time of renewal. Good news is we projected 15% on property casualty, and it's coming in around 6 to 10%. So that was part of what was some of the reduction. Don't have workers' comp numbers yet, but you know, same thing, estimating 15%. Solid waste is the second biggest driver of this budget. You have a 70% increase, I think, Nate, if I was right, on the solid waste contract. Fire is a big portion. You ratified the contract for the labor union last week, which had some wage adjustments and some changes to their benefits. Admin, which we'll talk about more later in the meeting, but you know, you're paying for this year, as you see your expense report, you're getting pretty close to going over on the salaries, which you will, but you were carrying 2 managers essentially for a bit, recruitments, legal expenses, And then Brenda can talk more later about some of the stuff that's driving that, but you also under budgeted quite a bit in admin from last year to this year. So this is correcting for the increase in salary, obviously from hiring me, a new position, and then appropriately budgeting that department. Debt service is driving a little bit of it, and then other expenses. So since your last meeting, we've made $392,283 in a reduction to the property tax commitment. Most of that is, I talked to Kevin this morning. We took 30 grand out of capital that was proposed to use reserves for critical spares. So if something goes down, instead of in that 79,500 in capital outlay, the reserve is there to eat up the critical spares there. Playground reserve was a contribution that you typically do every year. There are some unspent proceeds from the bond for Tasseltop Park that we should revisit with the board to see if we can do some of those capital improvements through unspent bond proceeds that's already been borrowed. And again, there was just some revenue sort of transfers that you historically you were doing at commitment and accounting for correctly, but in your previous budget template, you weren't really showing the TIF transfers appropriately, so that accounts for that. We also discovered restricted funds that were endowed in the 1970s to create scholarships and offset some of your cemetery revenues. So this accounts for using some of those restricted funds to offset your cemetery expenses as well, among other targeted cuts. I reduced legal. I think this year was an anomaly, and you shouldn't have those legal expenses next year, as well as with joining MMA and paying the dues, we have access to the free legal services. So hopefully that'll cut down on some legal time. I reduced that a little bit. In the initial budget, I planned for needs assessment for the Jordan Small Middle School. I think there are other ways we can fund that, so that was zeroed out in this revised budget. And then just some double counting of things that we knocked out of the budget, little things here and there, but they add up. So, then the question is, how much fund balance can we use? And I always say, recurring revenues must equal recurring expenses. So I caution you when using fund balance, but historically the board has appropriated up to $300,000. So if you were to appropriate anywhere between 0 to 300,000, this is what that looks like. As far as impact to the tax levy. And again, this is under the current assessed ratio and mill rate, because you are in the middle of a reval and you don't know what that will be until Kurt's done with his work with KRT. But that's how much using $300,000 in fund balance would save the average taxpayer on a $300,000 home. And I just wanted to give you some comparisons. There's obviously a lag in this data. This is from the 2024 publicly available stuff that was on the dashboard. But your equalized full value rate is among the lowest in Cumberland County. And statewide, the average is about 10 equalized, and you're around 8. But obviously, this is 2 years behind on the data that was available. So on last year's commitment, your effective tax rate equalized is around $10.34. And to your neighbor, Gorham, who's, if they're assessed at 100%, it's actually, even though your mill rate appears higher, it's misleading in the sense that when equalized, they actually have a higher tax burden, even though they have a lower mill rate. So again, 12% tax increase isn't nothing. 60% of it is driven by factors outside local control. Through targeted cuts and revenue offsets, we were able to reduce that $392,000 since introduction. Fund balance can reduce that increase further, but it is a tool that has long-term implications because you're creating a structural deficit in your budget if you're offsetting recurring expenses. And hopefully it feels good that you have among one of the lowest effective mill rates in the state, if not in the county. So that's just sort of a general overview of where we are since introduction. And then we can kind of go into some of the CIP and lease program stuff with Nate, and then come back to the revised budget after that. So I will give you back the meeting, Bill. You can take host.
Thank you.
I know this is a workshop, but it has already been an individual that's spoken, and I'm asking if I can make a comment.
Can you hold off till Nate
Well,
gives?
it's pertinent to what the town manager just said.
Okay, I'll entertain it.
Thanks.
And Madam Chair, you also have Kayla hand up.
Oh, thank you.
Peter Levitt, 2 Levitt Road. I appreciate it, Madam Chair. Just to clarify, my understanding, though, town manager just stated that year over year that the school budget is 12% higher, and yet from the presentation from the superintendent last week, my understanding is that that's more of an accounting because half of that money comes back from the state for the school. And I'd like anyone to correct me if I'm wrong, but just so that we're clear on what the increases are.
The assessment as presented by the RSU at the last meeting is $1 million increase to us. I don't know enough about how it was presented, but when he presented it, he talked about the current state valuation and how that would impact a home at $300,000 if you were at the current state valuation. But I've been instructed to plan for $1.1 million increase to the assessment.
Sure, and I understand that, but my understanding is that of that 12%, about half of that has to go through the school. So it has to be listed as 12%. However, 6% of that, or roughly 6% of that, then comes back from the state to the RSU.
I mean, I can't speak for the superintendent. The 1.1 million is what we're planning
That's
for
what I heard
the
in the
assessment.
presentation. Thanks.
Yes.
Didn't that have to do with the debt service on the new school? That they have to include the amount that has to be paid in their budget, the total amount that has to be paid in their budget. But then the state offsets that by like 84%, because the state is paying 84% of that bill.
I believe that's right.
So what happens is that they have a number that they need to pay on the school. They include the whole number in their budget. But then the state offsets that by the percentage that the state is paying for that school, which is about 84 to 87% supposedly, according to what he made for a presentation last year, which brings it, as you say, from 12 back down to 6. He was talking about working on a budget last time he was here that was up 6%. And he said at the time they're going to be continuing cutting it, and he would hope that they could get it down to 5 or less. So, is it 12 or is it 5?
Yeah, I mean,
We went through this last year with our budget.
Yeah, I mean, they're more around 7 right now, and he's still working it down. The 12 is the total levy, county, municipal, and school. So of that, the school is only 7.5 right now.
Okay. Kayla?
I just wanted to thank Glenn for your presentation because that was very helpful.
No, you're welcome.
Yeah, those slides were. So I just had a quick question. So I think you just answered it, but that 12%, the county's in there too. I don't remember seeing it in the slide, but those are the big three is
Correct.
12%.
So on your sheet there, that is the budget summary sheet. You have the county, which again, they told us to plan for 5.6, but if they lose that contract, we don't know what that will be. So I'm basing on what they've told us to plan for.
So plan for it because they think they are losing it, or plan for it?
No, like their budget, the last I talked to Jim, was planning for a 5.6% increase. Whether or not they lose that revenue is an unknown. So.
And I have regionally seen where they're looking at between 12 and 13% is what they're
13 is that worst
realistically
case
looking
scenario.
at within the last 3 or 4 days.
I heard that same thing too from somebody that I know.
So expect the worst.
Hope for the best.
There's no hoping on this time, I think.
Yep. And I can kind of shoot from the hip on this one, but in the packet was a memo about the lease program. I'll kind of just give an overview. We can go more into it if you'd like, but I'm trying to distill it down as much as I can, and then we can go from there. But, essentially, we talked about it a little bit. The important thing I think to note is if we move to that fleet replacement schedule, it's like, well, so how does enterprise make money on this and how do we benefit, right? So really it's like a financing spread. So enterprise is borrowing the money and buying these vehicles, but they're buying them at invoice pricing, which is what we get as a government. So the simplest way I could put it is like if we buy a Ford Ranger, we pay 30, and you may walk off a dealership lot and pay 40. Day one, when you take that vehicle home, it depreciates. So we have sort of a delta of, even though it's depreciating, we still paid less than MSRP, and we would run that vehicle for 5 years. We would pay sort of it's not a lease in the sense that you have mileage caps, and then you kind of hit this intersection of when depreciation and the residual are beneficial to both of us. So enterprise leverages their market, they sell the vehicles, and we get back any positive equity that keeps coming down off of our, quote, lease payments. Obviously, the risk is if used car values tank, you just pay what you would have paid anyway, which is the invoice pricing. Because they're just making out on the spread there because they can scale it across the country. And then some administrative fees if you go into their software programs or their maintenance programs, their fuel programs, which we wouldn't use as a government entity because we get, better pricing on fuel. So then the plan, as it was sort of in the PowerPoint that was in the packet and in the memo, would be you'd be on a 5-year refresh cycle. And again, these are only for vehicles that are not specialty vehicles. They'd be fleet vehicles, 450s and under. And you would cycle them faster, but then you'd be capturing that positive equity and it would smooth out your outlay. So, Nate could probably speak to it better from history, but 2 trucks this year would have cost us 90 in the capital outlay. Under this program for 89.5, we can do 5 vehicles. The other thing I realized too is you're carrying full comp and collision on all your vehicles. So Chris's 2001 Chevy Tahoe is $520 a year to insure, and so is a brand new Chevy Bolt. So with those safety features too, you may be able to capture some savings as you're using newer vehicles in the fleet. And even if we don't, it might be worth a consideration and even help this budget to drop collision on those vehicles and even comp and get them down to just liability. It adds up when you take the whole fleet into consideration. But yeah, if it's a direction that we want to move as a board and a community, you're already Sourcewell members. Fire departments used them in the past. And then the board would just authorize me to proceed with the contract, and we would start cycling the fleet in the lease program, and you can walk away at any time. So it's...
Is there any penalties on the mileage?
Only in like that depreciation. So like you're, say, planning to do 20,000 a year. We average 5,000 a year, by the way, on vehicles. If you went over and you went to go to that like resale and you were below what they anticipated, you would just pay the difference, which is essentially just what the vehicle costs. You know what I mean?
So like what Bruce drives or what Chris drives and stuff, we're only doing 5,000 a year in mileage?
The average fleet vehicle is doing about 5,000 a year.
Seems low to me.
It's an average. I'm sure there are ones that do more, but...
That's just about the average. In the Public Works Department, we've got 2 that are pretty high mileage, Scott's pickup and my pickup. The rest of them stay down around that 5,000. But over the whole fleet, that would average it out a little over 5,000 miles a year.
So you might get hammered on one of them, or 2 of them in that case, but the rest would be well below.
Correct.
So you're really getting dinged pretty good on the 2, for example, where the other ones you're still be well below it. So you might have that. I don't say money coming back, but you're paying out for 2 of them. And
we have to remember that it's not a traditional lease. It's not a mileage penalty. It's just your depreciation is greater. So we're only paying what the vehicle costs for whatever government pricing is. They're borrowing the money and fronting it, and we're just essentially paying rent on it until, and we can say, well, you know what, we want to just buy it out, and we can just pay the difference. There is no penalty or administrative fee. It's just when you both capture that positive delta, we both make out.
So we're going to hurt basically only when the vehicle's sold, because it's going to bring the depreciation of that value of that truck or vehicle down because of the high mileage.
Right.
If you had two vehicles exactly the same, one had 5,000, one had 15.
When you get out to
that's
$1.
yeah. We it's not like Glenn said. It's not a traditional lease like you would.
12,000
lease
miles a year or whatever.
Correct. There's unlimited mileage. They don't deduct for damage. I'm sure if you bring it in a ball of melted steel, that might be a different issue. But it's all based on the value of the vehicle when you turn it back in.
So, dinged up fenders, for example. So like 20 years ago, I used to paint cars. It was cheaper for somebody to bring their lease to us to do a full paint job than it was to turn their vehicle in with a bunch of dings on it and get,
That has
hammers.
gone a full circle now. The auto body repair stuff is 3-4 times more expensive than it used to be.
Oh, I know.
They calculate in this program, they're giving a vehicle to a public works department. We're fairly fortunate here. We don't damage stuff much at all. But they have calculated in what they would consider normal wear and tear.
Yeah, the other nice thing after talking to the Aroostook County Administrator and a couple others is that the stuff you see in the deck that they provided, those are pretty conservative estimates. When they actually went to resale, he said every year they did better than they predicted, so it actually ended up, but they don't want to, overpromise and underdeliver, so.
But it's like you said, if the used car market tanks, then it's a different story. Right now, we're benefiting from the used car market.
Right. And again, that risk exposure is just essentially you're just paying for the vehicle like you normally would.
Yeah.
Instead of kind of capturing some of that positive equity and getting a little bit more of a deeper discount over time.
I almost feel that buying a vehicle outright to save it almost doesn't make sense to me, because like now you have some vehicles that are leased and some that are owned. Just stay consistent and.
Yeah, and that would be, if you stick to the plan, after 5 years, everything under those 450s would be on that program, and they'd be constantly being refreshed every 5. The other thing, too, is like you're passing down these Tahoes, was a command vehicle, it's an $80,000 truck. Code enforcement, myself, admin people, a Toyota Corolla would satisfy the needs for that just as much as a Tahoe. So, and then you start thinking about opportunity costs. You could go into the weeds, all day. How much does it cost to send a mechanic to Massachusetts to pick up a part for 2001 that they don't make anymore, or a special machine shop that has to fabricate a manifold or what, I don't know. These are all under warranty. They can all go to A+. You can free up mechanic time and do preventative maintenance with A+ through it, and it's a fixed budget. It's, like I said, I have not heard one administrator who's gone into the program yet who's regretted it. And again, you can always walk away.
Just my opinion on this thing. It does make sense to me. Curious what you would do with your current vehicles. Would you be selling them and using the value towards the lease?
They go towards if we went into this program, they would take those back.
They would take them?
Yeah, they'd take them. That's part of the program. They already evaluated them and looked at them. I don't think they've looked at them yet, but they evaluated and put a number on them. Some of them they won't. I don't think they would take. We've got a Ford Explorer that they put a $2,000 value on. We could probably do better than that.
Yeah.
At an auction.
I don't remember if I asked you specifically, Nate. I know I had asked a question, but like racks and special equipment and stuff like that, how does that all fall into?
So you can do it both ways. You can get just the pickup show up, or in my case, we get a pickup show up and we would transfer the stuff off our pickup onto that one, or we can purchase it with all the equipment on it. I opted to go, the pricing that he's getting ready for me is turnkey ready to go. And we'll drop ours off and send them down. The accessories that we put on the public works trucks are, I think the half-ton truck I got out here was $700 or $800 in accessories.
Mm-hmm.
The fire department stuff gets a little bit more expensive. When you get into the bigger stuff, it's a different game. But yeah, the small stuff, that's the way I did it, was complete. I'll even go down to putting the lettering on it for us.
I have a question. So if you sign up for the program, does that automatically include the maintenance, or are those two separate issues?
No.
There are different packages we can do. So like there's like the full suite, like it's like $40 a month or whatever for, and that includes all preventative maintenance, parts, labor, everything. For the vehicles we already own, we could do like a $6 a month thing, but then obviously parts are on us. So like if they need oil or whatever, there's like different packages.
It was different packages.
Yeah, but if you went with their like biggest tier, it's like 40 per vehicle, all parts, labor included for preventative, tires, that sort of thing. But if we're doing 5,000 a year, we're probably not putting tires on a vehicle by the time we swap it.
Yeah, and some of them you will. Factory tires, you get 10,000 out of them, you've done well.
So when would the program actually start?
I mean, it's an open-ended thing. You can go, you know, they make a recommendation for the first year and then scale it. You do, I mean, it's under Sourcewell now, which we're already members of. So if the board said, yeah, go ahead, you know, with existing reserves, I could probably, because we'd only have 2 lease payments. If you took delivery of a vehicle in May, you could do one right away if you wanted to, and then just keep scaling it in. You know, so it's really a la carte.
So how many vehicles a year do you see going through this lease program?
What did it get up to, like 15 or so total once it was
15
fully
total.
implemented?
So that are eligible.
Yeah. So first year was 5, but that was their sort of, they used their software or whatever and make a best guess. So they were thinking Chris's Tahoe was a command vehicle, but it's not. So we went back and tweaked that. It's like, hey, it says fire truck, but it's not a fire truck. It's been repurposed. So Nate redid the replacement that they initially projected because wasn't entirely accurate. So it would be like 5.
I think they started out with 9 altogether. That pretty much wiped out 3/4 of my fleet. But I think we're down to 5 right now.
Yeah, and then after 5 years, you'd be at, the rotation would be just going.
And that, we'd have 15 by the end of the cycle, is what you're saying.
Yeah, 15 or 16. I can pull it up. I don't remember.
There's some that we've pulled off. We're going to pull out of the fleet that we don't need anymore. I think he's right. I think it was 15 total of that, from that 450 down that we have.
So our current mechanic is working on everything.
Yep.
So if we free him up on 15 vehicles,
I mean, he'd still be doing specialty work,
Yeah.
diesel, small engines, fabrication, spreaders, plow wings.
He's
but
heavy equipment to work, yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
He wouldn't have to go do an oil change, though.
Right.
Free me up is what it does.
That's what I'm trying to put out there. If we can free up the mechanic to do the other stuff, and
It probably
frees you up as well.
It probably won't affect his workload much. It would free me up. It would free up a couple of my other guys that we throw in there to try to get stuff caught up. That's basically all that would do.
Okay. So the next couple of things, I asked Nate to come tonight because when we initially introduced part of the paving plan, had the plan that's in your book, we got a call from DOT, like 2 weeks ago, I think?
Week and a
half ago, that the grant he put in for Egypt Road, they want to do next year. So I was going to have Nate just talk about what the MPI is, how we're shifting the paving schedule to prioritize the Egypt Road with the match, and go through that a little bit.
So this is I'll try to shorten it up best I can. So the MPI program is a match from DOT. We've done 3 programs on 85 and 2 on 121, and the Main Street Sidewalk program was an MPI. So basically, we're going to do the work, we'll manage it, we will administrate it, and the state will reimburse us at half the cost. Egypt Road, I think, came in at 1.3 million right at the moment. So I would recommend, my plan is to do it in 2 years. That's a 3.5 mile long road, a little over 3.5 miles. And we will fund it over the next 2 years. I'll have to adjust my paving schedule. I haven't got that far yet. I got a couple of questions out to DOT that they did not respond to me. I just got back yesterday, so I'm waiting for a response back from them. will tell me how much time I have. I think it's a 3-year program. You have to start it and complete it within 3 years. Something else that I'd like to look at is 85 and 121 from the town office to the Casco town line on Route 85. That is in desperate need of about the same thing we're going to do to Egypt Road. And 121 from Daggett Drive to the town line is in the same condition. Both those roads are minor collector roads. All we're going to see on those roads is what they call light capital paving, which is just shim and overlay. It's crap. I get another 4 or 5 years of a decent road out of that. I'd like to try to figure out a plan going forward. Either we fund 3 more MPIs, or we bond it, or we do something along that line. I'm in the middle of trying to figure that out. At the very worst right now, instead of paving 2 miles on Raymond Cape, we'll pave a mile and we'll go onto Egypt Road this year. And I will fund a little bit more money, or ask for a little bit more money next year to finish the project.
Yeah, so the request sort of stays the same, but because we have the opportunity to do Egypt Road this year, we would bump what we had planned to do coming year.
Is Gray doing Egypt Road?
They are not. It'll stop right at the town line.
So we're gonna supply the manual labor and equipment to do the work, and they're gonna, and then they're gonna supply the materials we need?
No, we'll bill them for everything, and they'll pay 50%.
That include our labor and equipment?
Our labor will be part of our 50%. That's part of our cost. Egypt Road most likely, so the tree work's gonna get subbed out. Obviously, the paving, reclaim, all that stuff will be subbed out to our paving contractor. I think I put enough money in the estimate so we possibly could subcontract the whole job out. It's going to be a bit of a struggle on that road. It's high traffic volume. They drive crazy on that. So it's in the very first part of the planning stages right now. I didn't expect it. They told me probably 2 weeks before I put my budget together, we're not going to have it this year. And day before I leave on my vacation, hey, you got it. So I don't want to let it go. If the funding goes away, it'll go somewhere else. And that road desperately needs something done to it.
Well, it's a little off topic, but just going over Casco, and that bridge that's getting worked on. Amazing what one lane can do to traffic.
Yeah,
on
302.
Yeah. So we're talking about 3 miles on Egypt Road, for example. Like that's.
So if we do the work in-house, and I would probably, if we put it up to bid, I would definitely recommend it to the contractor. It would be in the bid process. Just keep your work zones short and do half of it 1 year and half the next year. To do that 3 mile stretch on that road, that's a lot of work and really screwing up a lot of time. So you try to get in and out of there as quick as you can, less painful and less discomfort to the taxpayer, to the traveling people.
So they'll be digging it all the way right down, right, and digging all the way back up?
No, it'll be reclaim, which we'll grind up the surface of the pavement, probably a couple inches into the base. They grade it, compact it. We're going to widen it to 22 feet on the travel lanes and 3-foot paved shoulders, and cut the trees back to the right of way, so on and so forth.
But will they warranty that now?
No.
They didn't go down because they didn't go all the way down and start, right?
Yeah, you'll get a warranty on the pavement, and usually the contractors will warranty the pavement for 2 seasons. But you're talking a couple $1 million a mile.
Right, yeah.
If you did a full depth rebuild, you're over a couple $1 million a mile now.
Yeah.
That's awful, isn't it?
What's that? Yeah.
Crazy.
And then the only other thing was we had that new request in for janitorial. I had some one-off questions after the meeting. So Nate was on vacation last time we had a workshop. So if anybody had any follow-up questions on the new request, he was prepared to kind of go through it, or if anyone had anything on that one.
So the plan with that custodian position is preparing for the new school, or going into the new school. We've got to step up our cleaning process at the town office. Riley's paying $800 a month, I think it is, for cleaning. Tasseltop we pay for cleaning. We've got the library. We've got a department head spending 3 hours a week cleaning down there. This person also, I'm going to have them responsible for all the paper products that we buy, so it's all under one control for all the town buildings. There's the Public Works office could be cleaned on that cleaning schedule. And if there's not enough work to do, we will find enough work for him to do. We've got the 302 cleanup stuff and beautification committee down through there, and I have no doubt that we're going to run out of staff before we run out of work for them to do. We've fumbled along for a long time with borrowed people from the school, and it's not working.
Do you have anybody in mind?
No, I don't.
It's going to take really the right person for that.
Yes,
You can't just
yes, it
throw
is.
somebody doing that. You've
Yeah.
got to have somebody that can kind of do a little bit of everything.
Correct. There's somebody out there. You just got to work.
Right, you gotta find them.
You got to find them.
Are all your positions, authorized positions today, filled?
No.
And we're talking about adding more?
Well, the problem is the position that I have in Public Works is a per diem position. So you only come in when it snows. And that's a very, very, very hard position to fill. That's why in my proposal was to change that to a full-time position.
You know, I look at the budget. The only place you can really save any real money is in personnel. And the question's been raised by the citizens, how can you keep looking at adding people? And with, what's the rate, 18%? I know you got it down some.
12.
12. And how bad did we get hit last year?
12.
And what was it supposed to be last year? What were we sold?
Pitched 5.
Okay. That's
mean,
that's
if you
my
look at the
question.
local
You know,
only, it's
if you
around
can't
that.
fill the jobs, why are we adding jobs?
We can't fill the Public Works job because we haven't advertised for 2 years because we just weren't getting any advertisement. I opted to do the plow route myself. We shifted some people around to Public Works. We had the per diem person we hired full-time. I ran an ad, I think we did 2 months, didn't get any ads. You wander around any Public Works garage, they've got a handful of these per diem positions open. You can't fill them. Nobody wants to do, who wants to come out and plow snow for 2 or 3 hours for $20, $30? Nobody. So you sweeten the pot, make it a full-time position. We've got more work than we're getting done during the summer. So you put that person on with Don McClellan. We're going to make him, that person do Parks and Rec cleanup. There's plenty of work out there for him. But we've never funded that. So that's why I'm asking for a little bit more money for that. The cleaning person, I can't find, people don't want to do it. An hour here, an hour there, it's not worth their time anymore. So you make it a full-time position. Again, I've got plenty of work that's not getting done, so we're going to try it that route.
So you're still paying for them right now, but you're just doing it by individual people. The only thing you're going to add to that is the benefit package you're going to give to them.
We're nowhere near what we budgeted. No,
Right.
I think she, a couple hours a week, I think
so.
something like that. And you've got one of our department heads cleaning the library, and that's really it. And Riley's paying, I think it's eight something a week, a month for partial cleaning, and they're not even cleaning the whole building.
Of the church.
I actually think
Yeah.
I saw Mel mopping today, or someone from.
I'm with you with adding positions. I also see it though, just from, and you could attest this too. You can't find good people. That's what you're saying, and I think that having these positions and attracting the right people is what we need as a community. We don't need to be half-assed in a sense.
That is.
I understand exactly what Cliff's saying. I do agree, but I'm kind of between you guys here, where it's like we need good people. We need to have happy people on staff too.
Correct.
Because to hire now, it's completely different than it was even just 10 years ago.
Correct.
So I'm leaning more towards happy staff, filled staff.
Correct.
And I do believe that this position that you're talking about, there's more than enough work for a
There's plenty of
full-time
work.
position.
Yeah, there's plenty of work. And when we take over the school, there's going to be another staff jump there. You're going to have to hire. At that point, you're going to have to hire a facilities manager, and at that point, that'll come off from me. I won't have to carry that anymore. And they're going to need a helper. You've got all the grounds here. They're going to be mowed. hiring and mowing contractors are getting very expensive. You can do it cheaper in-house.
Right. Our greatest assets are our people.
Correct. I would
And I
agree
think
with that.
that's the Raymond kind of community.
The years of when we did it for when we started plowing, we did it for 5 years with a per diem contractor. I just had the right person, and we had a risk of losing that person going to one of our neighboring towns, and that's why we hired him full time. And that's when I found out it's really hard to find that per diem position. They may come out for 2 hours. You're not going to pry me out of bed at 2 o'clock in the morning for $60 and then take taxes out of that. It's just not. They're not there anymore. And you can go back in the history of public works plowing. It used to be you had the Blue Rocks, the Pikes, the contractors that laid all their people off in the winter that were looking for that winter work. And it was easy. You worked that week, you didn't get paid for your unemployment, the next week you got paid. Now they make them reapply. So, and they've sweetened the pot on the unemployment, and the contractors are paying their people to go home for the winter because they don't want to lose them. So they're not going to come out and help us. I don't blame them. But somewhere out there we'll find some.
You are right about all those things you just said. That's true. They've almost made it more palatable to go on unemployment and stay home than to do the makeup work, yeah.
I guess in a way you look at it too is if you find someone for that janitorial position who can do a lot of other things, maybe they can slide into some of that school position too. So
As long as I think the position is well laid out as what their job description is.
Correct.
You get somebody that starts doing something out of their job description, they get pretty unhappy really quick. So whatever the job description is, I think it needs to be specific to whatever else may come up ahead of time that they know that these other things will come about.
We've been very fortunate in the hiring. We've been very fortunate. The people that work for Public Works right now have been here for quite a while. They're happy. They seem to do a good job, and we struggle to find them, and I think we've done very well at retaining them.
So along with that, though, one more question for you is how do you plan to put this out there? Because in the past, this committee has had some issues with how we felt the hiring process was kind of going out or wasn't going out. So how would you kind of find this position? Where would you be advertising?
My first step would be to build a, like you had said, a job description that's palatable and workable. And we'll advertise it like we have locally. I would really like to find somebody local than somebody that's going to transfer to here. I think if you can hire somebody, especially from within town or within the community, you're going to have a better person or a more dedicated person to the cause. So I hope that answers your question. But
it does, yeah.
Are there any other questions or concerns about that topic?
So I think that's all we had for do you have one more?
Toters?
Oh yeah, the solid waste. Sorry, that's like the biggest one. So there was some, the solid waste contract isn't inked yet. There's some options the town has, toters, dumpsters. The budget that was introduced, was introduced with the full contract price in it as Nate was working through negotiating that contract. So he wanted to go over some options that we have to, possibly reduce that some as well, or how we want to kind of attack the strategic implementation of the contract.
Right. So when we went out to bid, they broke it out from the curbside program, which is a collection program. And we have 12 dumpster sites between municipal buildings and the curbside program. Both contractors broke that out. Allagash and Casella. Casella was $70,000 with I got my glasses right here, with a 5% increase per year. Allagash, after renegotiating with them a little bit, they're at $54,000 with a 3.5% increase every year. That first year savings is going to be $15,000 by separating that out from the contract. The other one is the toters. So both contractors had proposed a toter lease program. So the toter cost for us to go out and buy the toters is $408,000. That includes the company toter coming out and distributing all the toters, putting them together. They're going to be all serial numbered, dropped off at everybody's house, done. Over a 5-year program, that would cost us $81,000 a year. Casella's cost on that was $91,000, with a 5% increase every year. So their total cost over 5 years is $659,000. So if we do the toters in-house, we're going to save $251,000 over the 5-year contract, and the town of Raymond will own the toters. The benefit to that is at the end of the 5-year contract, if the contractor that we're using goes up too much, we got to put it out to bid. We already have the toters in place. It's just a change of contractors. So my recommendation is going to be to do the toters in-house. Haven't hammered out how we're going to pay for that yet. We have $96,000 in the budget per year. I'm pretty sure we can probably finance it for that if we had to finance it. Surprise, Brenda.
I know I already spoke on this, but I agree that buying them outright is the way to go. Don't agree on financing them, though. I don't think that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's going to be a decision. We got to dig. I don't have $400,000 in any of my accounts that I can.
Yeah, and we have a year basically after.
Right, we have to have the toters in place by July 1st of next year.
Right.
So we've got a year to figure it out.
Well, some of the areas in the TIF district, right?
Nate,
That's a
I
good
did
point.
looked at the numbers before, and this is better than what they did in, both of them did in their original proposals.
Correct. All I've done is pulled out, I pulled the dumpster part of Casella's out and gave it, I want to give it to Allagash, and I took the toter rate and just divided it over 5 years, so that dropped it by, I don't know, it was $15,000, I think.
And they're gonna bring them all assembled and everything else.
Toter company, which is separate from Casella.
No, I
When you
understand.
buy them, that's part of the plan. You know,
Because that is less than what Casella said, even if they did it, and it's less than what,
Right.
if you just took that number and divided it by 8,000.
Correct.
All right, thank you.
I mean, so it's pretty much, it's coming. You just have to decide how you want to deal with it.
Right, we're going to do it, so we're going to just figure out how to do it the cheapest way we can.
And these things they're readily available, the toters, because I know sometimes they've had like stockpile issues and stuff.
Yeah, they are. They come from, I don't know where the company's out of, but there's 8,000 of them that are coming, that will be coming. But yeah, they build them to order. They're $41 a piece, I think.
That's
I
a big savings.
I just mentioned to Glenn, some of the area there could fall under the TIF district.
Correct, yeah, it could.
So that's, part of, I mean, that's somewhere I could start looking.
Yep. Yeah, everything down the village, I think.
Yeah,
pretty much.
right.
Now, when you see, when you're driving and you see people have multiple containers out, trash everywhere, what would that do when you have the toters? Would they be limited to that, and that's it?
2 toters, yeah. One solid waste and MSW and one recycling.
Okay.
Did you say that they're about $41 each?
Yeah.
Okay, so just put into perspective, I was in Walmart, and a comparable size one is 80.
Yep.
So
We
this
paid-
one, and that one doesn't, and the one in Walmart didn't have wheels,
Right.
and they're not heavy duty like these. So like, that's
These-
a 50% saving on a better. And yes, I understand that. To your point, and they're not supposed to be doing anyway. But the trash, if it's not in there, they're not going to pick it up.
Correct.
And I think that's a fine standard.
Yep. There'll be quite a learning curve to this. Casella in their contract is going to send somebody out, I think for the first 2 months. I'd have to read through the contract. It was like 2 months. They're going to send somebody out with the trash truck and another vehicle, trying to educate people as they go along and move the dumpsters out and leave them know that you got to have them here.
The rest.
It's going to be, the first year is going to be quite an undertaking.
What happens if one gets damaged or gets lost? That
Well-
could be a customer's issue? Or?
Glenn and I were talking about that this morning. Wyndham, they replace them. Gorham, I think Falmouth does not. And Glenn brought up a good point. Here's your first round of 2 toters. You're responsible for them. We're all adults. If you lose it, you're going to have to buy another one. We will have them in stock. We really should keep some in stock, and at that 8,200, that gives us 100, I think, in stock. We will have to be responsible for if wheels break. We'll send somebody out and fix the wheel.
That was a plow truck gets it and knocks it and destroys it or something.
Correct. Trash truck gets it, they're going to pay for it. Wyndham did tell me that was one of the.
They're pretty rugged.
Yeah, they take a pretty good hit. The biggest problem Wyndham's had is when the guys dump the trash into the truck, they let go of the claw and it goes into the hopper. It's gone. So, then we just send a bill to Casella.
So there's no warranty on the toters?
No.
Well, Maine has the implied warranty statute, so you could argue.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to win
Well, I
that.
noticed in the proposal, they talked about a 10-year warranty. That's why I asked the question.
That's Casella warrantying it themselves.
No, it was Toto.
Was it Toto?
Yes, it was.
Well, Cliff, I may be wrong on that one.
Right there.
In terms. Yep. 10-year warranty on them.
Look at that.
Well, that's a big deal.
That'll be fun to try to collect, I think. Doesn't give you any idea what they cover, but.
Well, it's just the general. They don't cover abuse, but
Right.
it's the.
I think it's more defective.
But if the wheel fell off, that you could argue that one.
Yeah, I'll have to follow up on that, Cliff. But these things just have a little cap you pound on with a hammer.
Like I said, but that was one of the things I noticed there was the 10-year warranty.
Yeah.
They are pretty heavy duty. I've gotten too close to a couple of them, knocked my mirrors off.
We've caught them before with a plow truck and they survive it.
Yeah, they actually probably do more damage to your car hitting it than.
I've seen them behind a pickup truck at 50 miles an hour on a trail hitch. They're pretty rugged.
And so somebody has more than a toter full of trash. What do they do with it? Well, is there a plan to deal with?
I'm assuming, being that we've done customer service to the highest extent on trash that I can possibly do, I'm going to get a call that they didn't pick all the trash up. We're going to go pick it up, and we're going to take it down to the pit and put it in the dumpsters that we have down there for that reason.
That's pretty nice. I don't get that.
Yeah, a lot of towns don't do that. We don't have a lot of trouble with that. What we have trouble right now is just bags of trash on the side of the road. This is going to eliminate that. And if somebody's paying attention, that 60-gallon tote is going to hold a lot of trash.
Actually, one more question. The amount that you have, I know you said you're going to have 100 more for backup, I think you said, but the amount that you have, is that per address, or are we taking into consideration ADUs?
That's per address right now.
Okay, so.
The number needs to be refined a little bit.
And I think that you're going to have more than 100, plus ADUs and that kind of thing for.
We're looking at a couple of the dumpster sites too to eliminate them and just put toters there. Like I said, the first year is going to be. This is going to be probably of all the MSW changes we've done since I've been here. This is probably going to be one of the most demanding ones.
Does it make sense? So we're essentially letting the town people use a tote, for example.
Correct.
If they have a ADU, does it make sense to have them pay for the second one?
I mean, that's a policy discussion we can have later. I mean, you can.
Just
this one.
We don't need to discuss it right now.
Yeah,
Just throw it out there, just, because we are discussing short-term. The select board to discuss short-term rentals. Yes, I'm just saying, if we're planning for this thing, we need to plan that we have enough, because I just don't think 100 extra is going to suffice at current numbers.
Right now, we have a policy on the contract that anything up to 2 units will pick up. Anything over 2 units is considered commercial. That thought has come up. These ADUs that are going on and the Airbnbs, are those businesses? Do you treat them as a business? I don't know. So I think that, like Lynn said, that's a policy thing that we're going to have to work on and figure out.
Yeah, I mean, you could buy the first batch through taxation, and then, if people move here and the toters go missing, maybe everything after people just buy them themselves.
And again,
after
it's
the initial.
half the cost of what you get from Walmart for flimsy ones. So we're really saving the taxpayers.
That price is due to volume.
No doubt.
When we bought the recycling toters that we sold like 2 years ago, they were $64 a piece, and it's from the same company.
Yeah.
You do get, and I can't order anything less than 100. That's why that 100 number's there.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, knowing that you have this potential $408,000 outlay, even though he found some savings in the contract, it might make sense to just shift that to a reserve contribution. So next year when you have to pay the difference, you've already got a portion of it already
I would recommend that.
taken care of. And then we can look at the TIF spending plan and see what part of the TIF we can capture and put that in there. And maybe you only have to do the other half next year.
Yeah.
And we have 18 months, you said? Or?
Yeah,
Well, we can tell them when to implement, I guess, too.
correct, yes.
So-
I would want to be ready by July 1st, and they said it takes about 6 to 8 weeks to get the totals.
You sure that's the right weekend to do that?
Be a blast.
Maybe the weekend after.
Within reason, you could
Yeah,
not
so
fund
we
it
would-
this year and pick it up next year.
Well, if he's saying July 1st, 27,
No,
we would
what I'm saying is, instead of having it on as an obligation this year to reduce the tax load by $108,000, you could project it forward, because you don't need to, instead of putting it in reserve and taking it out of reserve, you might be better off that would be one way to drag down that tax rate. Just a different, doing the same thing, but in a little different way. Because there's been concern in the past about how much taxes were maintained at a low level by eating up the reserve.
That's a tough one. I don't know what the right call would be for that. It makes sense what you're saying. So this year we won't get the hit, but it's coming. Maybe it's better to spread it out, maybe not.
Well, like I say, it's just a way, you're right, but right now, the projections, the finance committee said we'd stay at our goal was to stay at the cost of living increase. Well, 8%, 12%, whatever, isn't anywhere near what the cost of living has been. So that means we can't even get anywhere near our goal. This would be one way to get a little closer. That's all. It doesn't change anything other than moving the money around.
Fair.
I agree. It is optics, but those matter.
Okay.
Okay, have we covered that? I have a question, but it's off topic from this solid waste question. Okay, I'm looking at the summary sheet that you passed out.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the Public Works town buildings. It's a 135% increase from last year, from 47,000 to 111,000. Can you please refresh my memory on what that increase involves?
I'll let Nate take that one, but it's probably partially the janitorial position as a new request. And I think you merged, utilities got merged into there as well.
Yes.
I think all of utilities are coming out of there, but let me pull up the,
We've got 40, the utilities went up 33,000. There's 45,000 for the janitorial position. And building maintenance doubled that to 8,000. And we added, I'm sorry, that's a balance. Yeah, most of it's in moving the utilities out of other line items, other departments.
Merged it all into one
Right.
now.
Heating went up, and 45,000 for the janitorial position.
So you're saying it really didn't go up? You put other line items in there? You shifted
We
it?
shifted around.
Okay, so there
the-
really
like
isn't.
The oil and the utilities were all spread out all over the budget,
Oh, gotcha.
so now they're just all
It
in
lives
one
in one
pocket.
place.
So,
Gotcha.
yeah, it's better for tracking too, and to
Right.
really understand the cost.
Okay.
Yeah. Last year's budget for utilities was 23. It went up to 42,690.
Some of those are just flat out increases.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been ridiculous.
And then the salary for the janitor, because last year you only had 6,000. It's 45 budgeted for that new position. And then some are just minor increases. The other appropriations are 5,000 here, 8,000 there. Supplies, heating. Heating, utilities, and the new position are driving that.
Okay. Anyone on Zoom have any questions? No? Everyone here all set? Okay. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Lee.
The other portion of that was CIP discussions. Was that besides public?
That was the
works, or-
changes to his CIP. Nothing has really changed materially except for that MPI program. The only other CIP changes were when I spoke with Kevin, knocking that reserve contribution into there and out of taxation for critical
the rec.
spares, and knocking out the rec
CIP.
CIP because you have unspent bond proceeds.
Yeah,
So
there's a substantial amount still left in there, and according to the language for that, you can use that.
yeah,
for
you do
what
like
she
a
wants to do.
$30,000 a year contribution to reserve typically for playgrounds, but with all the unspent proceeds and the existing reserve, we won't make the contribution this budget.
How much are there in unspent proceeds?
Well, it's in a lump.
So it's three things that were authorized under the bond.
Right, and the portion for the rec, do you have it?
I don't. I just have the reserve balances in front of me. I don't have access to the bank accounts, so I can't look at the.
Was that the bond from
That was
2 years ago?
That was 2013, your 2013 bond.
Oh, 2013
It was like
bond.
1.150 million.
I can pull up the warrant from that year. Just give me a second.
But as far as like, the administrative costs actually ran over what you had designated for it. But the rec still had, I want to say it was in the neighborhood of 70,000, 60,000, somewhere in that range for them. So it didn't make any sense to fund the CIP for rec when you already have funding that we're waiting to spend, really.
And it can only be used for that?
Yes, that's correct.
Right.
Well, so the authorization was broad enough, I think.
Yeah.
So, but if you wanted to, I wouldn't say exceed what the bond authorized, you would have to go to town meeting and ask the voters to reauthorize the excess proceeds, which I had to do last year because we came under on a paving project, and you can't earn interest on that bond. The IRS doesn't like that, so it has to sit in a non-interest bearing account, and you got to spend it down. But that comes back to that discussion we had at the last workshop, where when you're looking at these long-term capital projects, you might want to consider short-term financing before you convert to a bond, because if you budget $1 million and you come in under and you took out long-term financing, you're paying interest on debt service on this total amount that you didn't actually always need. But that's just a strategy that you can use in the future.
So I've got a comment, and this is pre both of your time here, so this is not a question really for you, but so we have money in this unspent. We bonded a $300,000 pickleball court a couple years ago. Some of that money could have been used for the pickleball court, in your opinion?
So the warrant authorization was for the design engineering of Public Works Garage at 170 Plains Road, rec improvements to include lighted tennis courts to be located at Sherry Gagnon Park, and improvements at Tasseltop consisting of snack shack bathroom facilities. So if those came in, you would have to talk to bond counsel about what you can do, but let's just assume you came in $100,000 under, and you already borrowed the money on the tennis court improvements. There may be a similar enough project that under that authorization you could complete work on a tennis court or a pickleball court or a park. But if you start to get too far out of that, you would probably end up wanting to put it on a warrant to reauthorize using the excess proceeds. Does that?
Yep.
Okay.
Interesting.
But sort of an open forum, so any questions on anything, happy to.
Just one more comment. It's probably a Budget Finance Committee discussion comment, but I'm going to make it here. So in the past couple of years, we heard that this year was high in legal fees. I don't anticipate that going to be the next year. We've heard that for the last couple of years. I'm thinking that our legal fees is something that we're going to have to start increasing for, because it seems like every year now we're like, well, it was just that one-off thing, but I'm thinking that we need to take a look into legal fees.
You have had a lot of one-off things.
A lot of one-off things, but they are consistent every year now.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, we might not deal with the same thing, but we're still dealing with a legal issue.
Right.
I mean, you have that contingency that the select board authorizes to soak up some of that. Your litigation for the shoreland zone issue, I think, is sort of an anomaly that won't occur again. And again, now that for general questions, I reduced the legal 10 grand because MMA offers that free legal service. So a couple examples of how we used it just this past week. I think it was related to the land use ordinance work that we were talking about last night. And it was just a process question. Instead of calling Phil and spending $400, hey, does this need to be on a warrant? Does this need to be a special town meeting? Can this be done under whatever? So that all those sort of calls are free now through MMA Legal. So I felt comfortable knocking it down a little bit. And then the dues sort of pay for themselves at that point. But I don't know. I think
I
40 to 70 is a safe range for.
I don't think you knock the 10 grand out. I mean, I know we're talking about taking stuff out, but just like if every year we're like, oh, well, we went over this year, but it was an anomaly. It's like, well, every year's going to have that anomaly. My opinion is not to take it out, and then if we don't have that issue, if the MMA is allowing us to save on these legal bills, then maybe we revisit it. But I think that this is probably a little bit too early to be cutting from there and then going over and say, well, we went over, but it was a one-off.
What did it cost to join MMA?
10 grand.
What's it for a year?
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, you guys could tell me I'm wrong, but
I think you're wrong. I mean, if we just spent 10 grand to join MMA and we get their legal advice, why would we budget that again? Isn't that a double budget?
Well, how much are we over this year?
It's in your expense revenue sheet.
Yeah.
It's
A lot.
Over 4.
Yeah, let's look at that number.
We are budgeted at 50,000. Currently, we're at almost 94,000.
93. So we're doubled, essentially. So I mean, adding 10 grand in there, adding 10 grand in there wouldn't even have helped this year. And again, I understand.
But how many of those calls were at 400 an hour or whatever? Do you know what I'm saying? So now he can call.
I do.
To ask advice. So that was the whole purpose, right, of joining MMA?
Well, there's more benefits than just that. I mean, the required trainings the select board and planning board do are at a discounted rate. So instead of paying 150, you're paying 50. I have access to insurance products that aren't on the open market.
Listserv for finance questions.
Did we ask them $40,000 worth of questions, though? That's what I'm saying.
Oh, they're never going to get, this is for more broad process stuff. If you have a personnel issue or something very Raymond specific, you're going to use your in-house counsel, because they'll say that's for your town attorney. This is more like, if a resident had a question on, is this ordinance a legal ordinance, they would give you a general, hey, you're good, or you should follow up with your legal. So, but it may save you that $400 calling legal to say, you don't need to call me, this is fine.
Brenda, what are your thoughts? I want to know.
She didn't want me to reduce it.
I disagreed with him. I didn't want to cut it out. I wanted to leave it the way it was presented originally. I just feel like MMA is still a good value what we purchased from them. But to cut the budget that we just presented, I think I would have just left it and let it ride.
What do you guys think?
Because I know we still have outstanding bills too from attorneys right now. So what the number you're seeing right now, we're not at the end of the year yet.
That is
I mean,
true.
we are gonna, it's gonna continue.
And 10 grand, I mean, 10 grand is not even,
Yeah. You also remember, too, that we will recoup, maybe not this year, you'll recoup some legal fees for some of the litigation that you have ongoing.
That's true.
So,
what do you guys think?
Well, I think the 10 grand ought to be left. God knows what we're gonna go through over the next year. My question is, how often do we look at changing lawyers?
I don't know the answer to that question. I wasn't here. I understand you've had a long-standing relationship with Bernstein, but anyone on the board who...
It's been 15 or more years before we put it out to bid.
Is it worth looking at something
I
like that?
think you're right, Frank.
I went to bid last year. I think you're paying for a partner, and don't quote me on it, but it's between $380 and $450, I would say. When I went out to bid last year, we ended up with Brand Isaacson as the low bidder, and I think their partner rates were around $250, $275. This may have changed year over year, but there are competitive firms out there who do, they all do good work. So,
As the price keeps going up, maybe we ought to hire our own in-house lawyer.
Well, Maine is actually one of the states struggling a great deal to retain good legal, advice right now. The state can't even keep them. I don't know if you saw that latest. The state can't even pay their
oh, you mean the public defenders?
public defenders, but I mean it's a sign of the fact that it's a very low, small group.
Yeah, I mean, just anecdotally, I remember when we worked with Pretty Flaherty, they lost a lot of folks just because you can do a Zoom court conference, and to be a municipal attorney, you've got to be here. And, if they can live in Maine and work in, Fredericks County, Maryland, and make $300,000 instead of 120, some people have left, and are doing all that title work and stuff online. They don't have to go to an office anymore. And, we even see that with planners. I tried to find a planning director last year. We advertised for a year and a half with no applicants. And I tried to steal Kate Birch, who was working on your comp plan. She said, I'm not ever going back to a municipal job again, so I'm going to keep doing this. So it's, in those niche fields, it's tough.
Another problem is too, when we need a lawyer, a lot of times it's at, 10, 11, I've been on the appeals board and we had a lawyer out until 1:30 in the morning, here. So, I mean, you're not going to, everybody's going to want to put in them kind of hours and be here, like you said, here, for that time of the night. Most of ours get over by 10, but I mean, we have had them go into I think 1:15, I think was the last one that we had, and not the last one, one of the ones we had.
One of the ones that we should be getting that money back.
Right, but I mean, still, not every lawyer is going to want to be, at 1 o'clock in the morning still trying to do work.
I see a hand up over there too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Derek, go ahead.
Hi, guys. I was just saying about that anomaly thing. I mean, we did have, we had that big lawsuit where we had to fight the lake stuff. We also had, a bunch of town managers running here. We've had select board members suing the town. There is a few. These are anomalies I don't think are going to continue, I would assume, but I think that's, part of the reason why the stakes climbing so high.
Yeah, but that was my point. I was like, this is different this year. This is different this year. This is different this year. But like the legal fees are still high, and the optics of cutting $10,000 out of a budget just to be over budget by $50,000 doesn't make any sense. We're just cutting it out just to save optics, but we're still going over. It's just, that's my opinion, just to leave it.
Yeah, and again, the rationale was we can supplement some free legal. So
it was a fair rationale. I just realistically looking at these things, it's like, okay, looking for cuts is probably not where I want to cut from.
One of the other things I'd like to mention is
it's fine. That's why you
particularly in my
not paid to agree with me.
We're using AI a lot to ask legal questions, and we get as good answers from AI as we do some of our attorneys. So in code enforcement, we're using that more and more for appeals, for different things, and we've not had to have attorneys at several appeals board meetings recently because we've written memos using AI that looked like came from a lawyer, and appeals have been dropped. So that plus the MMA thing, I think we are going to see a reduction. I'm not arguing that we should take it out or leave it. I think it's peanuts in the budget. Maybe we leave it and see what happens this year, but I can tell you that my department is probably, we get our money back in most of our legal actions. And if we do anything with a planning board or appeals board, those attorney fees are paid by applicants. So that we use those, but that isn't what drive. The one anomaly was that big lawsuit that went on for 3 years. We won't have that again because of the new legislation allows us, because of that, we got legislation passed, we lien somebody's property. They can't do anything until they settle up with the town. We won't have these drag on for 3 years. They will settle it because they can't do anything. They can't get any permits. They can't sell their property. There's a lien on it by the town. So we have teeth now. So things, that won't happen again. I can't tell you you're going to have transition issues with people leaving and lawsuits and that type of thing. I think that will slow down. It seems like we're coming into a very calm period, in my opinion, sitting where I sit. It seems like we're leveling out. We found people that have filled the jobs, and if we can continue to do that, you're going to see costs go down. It's the high turnover. When you're looking for people, people don't stay. We had high turnover of managers and finance directors and all kinds of other positions that, you know, people sue, and it's just what they do. And you have to either settle or pay lawyers to fight it. So I don't see that happening. So I think Glenn's right. We're probably going to see a reduction, but maybe it's good planning to plan with the monies you have. I think your point is well taken.
I agree with that. I just wouldn't cut it yet.
Yeah. All right. Doesn't even move a tenth of a percent.
It's not really.
We're up to 13% now because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You have to start piling those peanuts, though. Then you have a pile.
Yeah, that's true. Okay. So, does anyone have anything else for the joint workshop that they would like to address for the select board or the budget committee? Okay. Derek or Kayla, all set?
Yes, thank you.
I would like to add one little blurb.
Yes, of course, thank you.
So because of all of the, there were a lot of issues with the general ledger, as everybody knows. I've been working with a company for software for the budget, and we're making really great progress with that. So it will generate cleaner reports. It's like having a fresh start with the ledger for everybody, including anyone that gets reports from the finance office. I'm hoping to have, I'm thinking we may have implementation by, well, I don't know, what do you think?
End of March, maybe?
Yeah, I would say maybe the end of this month, beginning of April. I've been working while doing the budget I'm also been working on the conversion and working with the CPA on that. So I've been busy trying to make sure that happens. I didn't want to lose the window of opportunity, and I'd like to get it wrapped up for sure before the year ends, so that when we start a new fiscal year, I'll feel better. I think everyone will feel better with using this new program. It's not going to impact the tax office just yet. We're doing it incrementally, so it will impact the payroll section, AP section, and the general ledger, where everything's stored, all the data. I've been speaking with Kevin on any necessary backups. I plan on running a ton of reports as well, just to make certain that have a good, strong hold on all the data. He says we have plenty of room, plenty of space. So I just wanted to take advantage of this company because what makes it really good for me is that I can literally tap on a new number, account number, and it's showing me the old number that it was associated to. And I can drill right down into a specific line item. If someone came into my office and said, hey, Brenda, you know, what was all this spent on? I can literally just sit there and drill right down. I don't have to start, you know, creating some ridiculous menagerie of a report just to get all the information together. So I think it should be a big help for everybody. You know, me, yes, but just for everyone else that's looking for detailed data that makes sense and it's easy to read.
I think that would be really good for the audit too.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm excited about the project accounting
I'm
aspect
actually really
and-
excited about this software.
Yeah, because like right when you showed me escrow today, and you know it'll live as a project, you know, and then all those sub accounts under the escrow, like instead of just these individual sort of where are these things? They're
For
all over the
like for an
place.
example, when codes, when they take a deposit for someone that has started a project, every time a deposit comes in, the way that your ledger is currently structured, a new account number literally has to be created and added. So if you pull up all the escrow accounts, there's literally, you know, a long list. Whereas with the new system, we can utilize project codes so that I can just see that top number. That number is included in everything. But if I only need to drill down if I'm looking for something in particular, like if they want me to refund a deposit for someone that's finished their project, I can use that same theory with other things as well, things that are repetitive. I can give it a project code by year or by project. I mean, we can actually build a project like, you know what I'm talking about, Karen, with, you know, if you're working like on a specific thing, it
Yeah.
makes more sense. Do you know what I mean?
Like when all the
Then when
ARPA
you
money
wanna run
started flying in, and we didn't necessarily know where the ARPA money was going at first, but you
Right.
can park it and
Yeah.
charge it off to the project.
This will enable me to give and have more detailed information, like for the audit, for anybody that wants it. You know, let's say you get ready to, let's say we're gonna enter in on this school project. That's gonna be a big deal. So you're gonna wanna retain any expenses that you incur just on doing the renovations and getting it up to par before anyone moves in. I'll be able to code things so that we can generate a report just associated to that. So it's just really, it's like keeping up with the times. I think it's gonna be a good thing. Like I just feel like it's gonna be just a really clean, fresh start.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's more like parent-child relationships as
Yes.
opposed to flat files.
That's correct.
And
And
that'll be up and
I'm
running.
like really excited. That's why I'm pushing. Burn the midnight oil. I've been speaking with Rhonda. She's the rep. She's in Dallas, so there's a time variance. So we meet though and get things taken care of on weekends and Mondays and stuff like that. So yeah, we've been cooking. And she actually, I was really excited today because I received already the rough draft of the ledger. She's already cranked out a new ledger. So I was like, he came in my office, I'm like, you're not gonna believe what just came through my email. So I was really happy about it. I just wanted to share that with you. It's just something else that I've been working on.
Is that something we might see like in April or May?
I'm hoping, yes, because she just sent me this draft, so now I have to go through it. We'll probably work on it till the end of the month. So I'm hoping for April 1st. I think that's how I'm thinking.
So we'd have that
This
for our
ledger.
next meeting?
Pardon?
We'd have that for our next meeting?
Well, I don't want to promise.
Well, April 1st is your next meeting, so that'd be a tight.
That's April.
Yeah.
I don't want to promise it yet. I want to make sure that everything is, you know, I want to try things out in the sandbox and make sure everything is in place. She's correcting some things that I didn't think were good. TIF, for example, was a big piece. I want TIF to be housed within itself. so that if we want to run reports on just TIF, it makes sense. Right now, it's all over the place, and I can't really, it's difficult to give an explanation when someone asks you a question and you can't find everything you need. So this'll make Fund 42 is what it'll be. That'll be TIF, and everything will be within that capsule. So if I want to run expense and revenue on TIF, it'll all be there. Even though we know TIF comes out of the main taxation, it still will be a section aside from the general ledger. So I'm
Kind of stand alone by itself, so you can actually see
right.
what's going on.
So it's kind of going to be in there, but it still be separate. So I think it's going to be good.
Chris?
I just have one quick comment before we close the joint workshop. I want to kind of echo what Kayla said. I want to thank Glenn and Brenda for the presentation tonight, and the numbers that we've been given in the last few months are the best numbers I've seen in 3 years. And I think that they deserve some credit for the hard work they put in. It wasn't easy to come up with these numbers with what we had to work with. And I know how hard both of them have worked, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, me too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you
Thank you
both.
very much.
Thanks. And we're excited
Good partner.
you saw a little sneak peek, but of where we're going with it. But once that's ready, me and Kevin will show you what we've got in store for next budget. So
We know that you've come through a lot, Glenn, like drinking from a fire hose to get to where you are today.
I'm having fun.
It's been a lot, I mean, for the time of year that you came in and joined us, and to put this all together, it's very professionally done, and all of us here really appreciate the effort that both of you have put into this. So thank you.
Thank you.
So with that, you ready to conclude the workshop portion of this? Okay, so the workshop is now concluded, and we will recess for a few minutes to allow people to leave, and then we'll just go into a budget meeting, a budget work, just a budget work.
We're still talking.
We'll see.
Any motion or anything, right? It's just a workshop.
We just concluded the workshop.
Well, you were in a regular meeting, you went into workshop, so workshop's concluding, and now you're going to continue your regular meeting.
Okay, we are now back, the Budget Committee is now back in session, and we are having a discussion over the budget and where we are at this point in time. And I've asked Glenn to please bring up the slides that he presented earlier on the reductions in the budget that he has done and where he has taken cost out of the budget. And I'm interested to know, I'd like to review those slides again to know where we stand, what the actual budget proposal is, and what the reductions that have been taken out of the budget in the percentage-wise. So I have the understanding that when the budget was initially presented, it was an 18% increase over the budget from last year. Is that correct?
That's the way the spreadsheet showed it, correct, yeah.
Okay, and you've taken cost out of the budget, so where does the increase to the budget actually stand now, at what percentage?
You are at, and I'll pull up the others. Sorry, I got so many spreadsheets open. You are at 12%, roughly.
Okay, and that includes?
School and county.
School, thank you.
Of that portion, let me just, so of that 12%, six and a half % of it is being driven by the municipal budget. So your budget's right around 6.5% increase to the levy.
But that will change if the county changes, correct?
The 6.5% is your
Right, but I mean the
municipal.
overall, the 13.
Yep. The 12 will go up and down depending on how the county and school land.
Okay. Oh. So it's 6.5% municipal
Correct.
increase for the town operating budget?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I guess my thoughts are, of course, I would like to see that lower, but I don't know how you would get there. I don't know.
I mean, there's a little bit of, and I mean, it could go either way. So we started at 15% for property casualty. My renewals came in, they're between 6 and 10. So that shaved 5%. It could still come in another, if we renew at 6%, but the warrant article's already been drafted, so you'll just lapse into fund balance, that excess there, right? Workers' comp, I don't have renewal numbers for yet. So we just have the projected 15%. If those come in better, I think at this point in the game, though, any additional savings we find will just lapse into your fund balance because the articles will have shipped probably by April 1st to go to the voters.
Is there a chance that, we were talking about it being a little bit better, which I wouldn't probably count on. Is there any chance it could be a little bit worse?
Well, I have the renewals for property casualty. That's 6 to 10, which is lower than we projected. I don't think our mod rate is going up. We don't have any claims that we've gotten this year. So I can't see your mod rate changing for workers' comp unless someone gets hurt between now and the end of the year.
And the medical, that's already been.
Yeah, medical's already renewed as of
included,
January
already
1,
increased
so
there.
those increases are there.
And then the folks that do the medical claim work for the town, I spoke with him personally, and he said he was going to maintain his same rate. I thought that was very nice. So that contract won't go up at all.
What about the vehicles? You said you were looking at adjusting all the.
So that would shift, so if you go to the lease program.
It would shift dramatically.
Well, it depends. So Nate had 2 budgeted at 90, right? So if we do the full plan, the way it's presented, it's a little under 90. It's like 89 and change. So that just shifts from capital to OpEx. But your capital would drop 90. And then I had asked Nate, we can reduce the capital contribution, but he has to paint. What is he painting? He's not here anymore. He's painting the loader, and I think there's a piece of equipment. I mean, either way, it's deferring something, so you could keep the capital outlay at the budgeted amount. We have some existing reserve in equipment, so you could float that on the lease payment and just keep capital the same and do some more capital, or we could drop it, the amount. It's just shifting from outlay to
If you do the
OpEx.
lease, though, you do have to go back to doing the collision, right?
Yeah, that's what was going to be my point, because your question was about
Really about-
insurance, so like.
Right,
insurance?
adjusting, you
So-
mentioned adjusting the insurance coverage would probably save.
But that would,
Now,
Yeah,
that would
I can drop
adjust it
all
down
the,
because of the age of the
Yeah.
vehicles, but if
Yeah.
you go with newer vehicles, then
Right.
and it's negligible. I was looking at the premiums. Like I said, the new Bolt is insured annually at $542, and the old Tahoe with comp and collision, 25 years old, is $520. So it's a $22 difference on that one. But the replacement cost too of a Bolt versus a Tahoe is different, and Tahoe is it's about getting your total cost per mileage down, and that's where you really start capturing the savings. I mean, anything made prior to 2010 is 30% less fuel efficient than one of those like EcoBoost Ford motors that could turn cylinders off. So you start scaling that across the fleet, and your F-150s that are doing 8 miles to the gallon and the ones that are doing 22, you start to see
Huge savings.
the total fleet operational cost come down, and that's sort of getting that total cost per mile down is the goal.
I think that's also negligible, because I got that scam in my truck where it shuts down to 4 cylinders. Like, it's garbage. Like, it's so.
But I mean, if you're running a 2001 on a V8 or a V6, I imagine there's some real differences there from the 4 cylinders.
they're somewhat similar motors. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they are. I mean, the technology is a little bit different, but can I be annoying and ask? I know it's 6.5%. Can I ask what the total dollar amount is for the increase for the municipal?
Total dollar amount. So municipal appropriation last year was 8,381,048. 9,744,657 is your municipal appropriation this year. $1.36 million increase.
0.36.
And at this juncture, I'm also going to add that the budget was severely underfunded last year.
Yeah, I had, so you'll see like my line actually went up from introduction. And I was like telling Brenda, I was like, maybe you should do a little homework on this one because I'm sure the question will come up, but what I'm landing is administration probably should have been funded at a different level based on the amount of headcount and salary in my budget. Obviously, you paid me more than you paid the previously budgeted manager. So I had Brenda sort of do a little bit of that digging and where should we have been on admin versus what we actually budgeted?
Can you access it?
Yep.
Pull up because I redid your Glenn one. I posted the revised under your Glenn edition.
Okay. 318, 548. Yep.
And then down below was what the breakout was for.
Do you have that number?
That was the individual one. That's for next year, though. It's not last year.
Right. So that's what we need for admin salaries, 619, 710.
And we had 470.
Right. And like I said, mine's like a 30% shift. But the rest, then that new position was what?
The new one that was supposed to be added in.
That's
I think it was only funded at like $20,000 or something like that. Not the correct amount.
Yeah, so 46 was 30 and change.
So you're saying last year we should have been at 619 and not 470 something?
No, so there's a $60,000 swing with new requests and what you pay me. So no, we were just doing that today. So you probably should have budgeted around 550,000 for that line
And
instead
it
of
was budgeted at 470.
So about 60,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you look at your expense revenue sheet, you're probably going to spend another 100 out of that salary line by the end of the year.
And if you'll see right now, you're already in a position where that should be like a June number.
Yeah, so 553 is what you should have budgeted. And if you look at admin salary, you're at 423, you're going to spend another 100. So yeah, if you had budgeted that, you would have probably had a little bit of buffer, like 20,000.
Because last year, it was my recommendation that we do, when the other manager was here, it was my recommendation that we had a breakout of some sort, and I wasn't consulted. So.
Yeah, and I think over the next couple of years, where we'll find some of those efficiencies is, the way people budget in municipalities sometimes is just incremental line item budgeting. I have $100,000, I need 5%, it's gonna go to 105, and then it's gonna go up 5%, and then you have transition, executive leadership changes, and people inherit budgets, but they never actually do a zero-based budget and go, where do I start and what do I need?
Right.
And some of that had to happen this year. You just do incremental line item budgeting sometimes. But I think as we start to zero-base more of it over time, we'll find more efficiencies.
And that's where we came up with the number we have this year.
Yeah.
We went, position by position. So, I feel as though that number is pretty accurate this year for what's needed. I don't think it was done correctly on the prior budget, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's interesting because historically you actually budgeted, it's funny, we needed 553 last year, but the 23-24 budget budgeted 541. So it's starting to add up when
It
you look
almost,
at it.
it gives the appearance of just like being randomly cut for.
Right.
Yeah, so
So my math is not coming out, right? Would you mind giving me the 9 million number again?
Sure. Total municipal, 9744657.
9744 697?
Mm-hmm. 657.
657. Okay, that I wrote down the wrong number.
Sorry, that's my fault.
And I can put that up on the screen too, so you guys can see what I'm seeing.
So let's see here. You have it on the back here.
Oh yeah, it's a double-sided
Yeah, I didn't realize
sheet.
it was double-sided.
Sorry. Saving paper.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Can you read that? Oh, come on. It's like teeny tiny numbers.
I'll zoom in. You'd only need to see expense and revenues.
I already said my comment, but I just don't know how you would cut from this to get down to 6. Definitely not getting down to anywhere near to 5. And I don't know. I hear what the finance director is saying is what we need.
Offsetting the waste for the totes is almost half of his increase. Right there, in waste management.
That's a good point.
And I know it's, all you're doing is moving the cost around, but when you're the person paying the tax bill, it makes a difference.
Sure. Just want to be careful. Just like it's only $1.36 million, using that in air quotes only. It's like every year it's only 1 point something million dollars. Just every year it's just an increase. And with the schools and the other projects that we have coming up, I'm just very, very worried that if we don't rein this in a little bit, not saying I have to do it this year, but if we don't start reining these numbers in a little bit, I think that we're gonna be in a little bit of trouble over the next couple of years.
Well, then can we talk about each program? We had the guy do a presentation for the, what is it, RTP? I realize that's small, but that's something to start with. And do we need the full-time janitor? Can we start with a part-time janitor? You know what I mean? We can go and discuss each piece, because then each piece kind of adds up. You know what I mean?
Right.
On its own, no, that's not a lot of money. But since we're stewards of the taxpayers' money, is that a worthwhile program? Was it Derek that calculated out it was $160 for a ride? We can almost buy people Uber cards.
That's what I was gonna say.
I mean, that's like,
Go Grandparent does that. You can front load Uber and Lyft rides for people. They can call if they don't have a cell phone, if they're a senior, and they'll just charge off what you fund into the Go Grandparent account, and they'll call an Uber for someone who doesn't have a cell phone. You know, and again, that's the other reason I asked about that 5310 money is, you know, my understanding is the grants are going to be open and he can ask for that. And if the priority of the board is not a fixed route service and it's more for microtransit, which he tried, you know, asking RTP to stop putting in for capital grants and say, give me operating so I can run a microtransit, they can do that. There's 2 streams. Right now, he's asking for buses. He asks for buses in his application. So, I mean, we're a funder town. If you want to continue to be funded, maybe you should apply for grants that we want to see you apply for.
Do you have to have it funded to apply for the grant, or can you apply for the grant with it unfunded?
So, if you want, I can send you the state's transportation plan, which I spent some time with.
I mean, that's.
It's an 80-20 match to get the funding.
Okay.
So you can, for the operating, you can say your salaries are in kind, and that can be your 20% match. So.
Or you could say, gee, if we can come up with the 20%, let's use that.
Right, of that 60.
67, come out of the selectmen's slush fund till you fund it. And I'm not being completely facetious.
Right.
20 grand or 20% of that is not huge money as compared to paying the whole freight to keep it going. That's an expensive ride.
You know, my issue with RTP is that the 3 years I spent on the comp plan, I kept hearing that people want it, but every year we revisit this thing, and not a single person in the audience came up and said, this is what I want. I keep hearing that people are really into it and they really want it, but there's nobody that's come up and said, I want to use this program again.
I also haven't seen much marketing for it. I know there's flyers that I've seen in my office, but you know, a couple weeks ago, because I was curious, I had done it in Lisbon when, you know, my wife needed the car. You know, I jumped on the Breeze, took it to Brunswick, and then I could take the Breeze from Brunswick to Portland, and I was home in a long trip. But if my trip was originating in Raymond and my wife had the car, could I call RTP and get a ride to Portland? You know, but I couldn't find how to do that. I found the flyer eventually, but I haven't seen much marketing online or, you know, at senior centers or community organizations. Like, so I don't know what the marketing budget like is for them, or what the portion of our contribution gets marketing, or if it's just for operations. But I just don't know how much the word has gotten out, I guess.
I mean, the only thing we really heard from was Debbie, right? When Debbie was speaking.
I agree with that. I think part of the problem is that people really don't know about it. We think we've told them, but we really haven't.
Yeah, and again, Debbie would probably know better where, you know, most of the folks that are probably using this are semi-ambulatory or stop driving. So are there places where folks are congregating, playing cribbage or something, like, hey, you got to go to... Well, the other thing, too, is we can also divert, not to get too off topic, but if you're on main care, state contract, that all goes through Logisticare. So those folks who need rides to dialysis or chemo or... and they have main care, those should be covered through the Logisticare transportation service. So, but you also, I think, if you go back to my slide, I don't think it was in that slide, you may not have a large portion of the population who's eligible for that. I think you're 7th or something with median income statewide. You're up there, so you may not have a ton of eligible folks for the main care rides. 17th in median income.
I just looked up, just for giggles, Uber from the town office to the main mall. For tomorrow at noon, the cheapest is $55.96 to go one way.
Well,
on an Uber.
I think the point that Don made was accurate. Like, this is a service. Like, they're not making money on it. And I do like that we're providing, like, we're taking the bulk, and we're saying, like, $3 to get down there is a heck of a deal. And I like that part of it. I want to be able to provide services for our people, but I just don't know if there's enough of them that are out there. So I would say probably for this one, it's like, maybe we do the same thing, which we let them present, and we don't give them the money, but say maybe next year. But I would say that maybe they can do some advertising and they bring this to us again next year and say, listen, like, we just don't know the appetite of the town. And I think that's a fair statement. We know the appetite of the town, and if you want us to fund it, we need to see people coming out. Because if nobody comes out and it's advertised and we don't have an appetite for it, then we need to worry about funding it. So I would say that this year I'm probably leaning towards not funding it.
Not funding which one, or both of them?
Right, because he has 2 requests this year.
He does, yeah.
The other part of this is that only people that can get out around can get to them. I mean, you know, it's not like they're going to come to their house and get them. So I mean, they've got to figure out from wherever they're, North Raymond Road to Sunset Variety before
Yeah.
they can even get a ride.
But the minivan will come right to their house.
From RTP?
The micro-trans, the
The
micro.
microtrans comes right to
Will
your
go to your
house.
house.
Oh, it will, so that one
Yes.
will? That's a
Yeah, it goes to your
13,000,
house.
right?
No,
No, it's just
No,
60,000?
that's the 64,000.
67,000, yeah, whatever it is.
63. The quick ride micro?
Yeah.
Yes.
63.
They will go to your house.
And that's
The
been,
13,000 is a fixed stop.
Like Sunset.
Right.
Yeah.
and that
But what you
micro,
can do, and what they said was that you could have them pick you up at the house, have even drop you to get on the ride to Portland, and it costs you $3
For both rides.
for both rides.
Total.
Total, right.
That was my question. And then you can go to the mall once you get to Portland.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense that way. It's just a fact that we just gotta know how many people are gonna really use the service.
well, that's, we maybe should have asked Debbie when she was here, but it's been in service now for a year, or a little less than a year, right? Because we,
September it started.
6 months.
September.
The quick ride did?
Probably should have asked for data on
Quick
that,
ride
because
was
if that's a
that in
human
6 months
thing.
Run the numbers.
Well, the other thing too is if we're paying for it monthly and we only started it halfway through the year, but we funded it for the full year, could we carry forward the balance and reduce the contribution?
Well, that's a good question.
No,
And maybe use
I
part
don't
of that
know if that's the
contribution.
way that was I don't believe that's the way the warrant article was written, though.
Yeah.
I don't think
The
it
Warren article let us drop out on any time we wanted to.
Yeah, but what Glenn was saying is like do a carryover. I don't think you can do that with that.
There's nothing.
Yeah, it's probably be
I
negligible.
don't think it was worded that way.
Because it's an
wasn't-
operating
what is-
expense.
Yeah, it wasn't put in that type of a line item.
So
So
who
it would
does
just
the,
fall to fund balance.
who does the marketing fall on? Does it fall on them or does it fall on us?
I imagine it would be on them to market it, but I can reach out to Don.
But I would think.
I mean, we would do that as a
responsibility to
partnership. We
market
have a
it as
partnership.
Well, if we're
Yeah.
gonna be spending money, then we have to market it to our people so they know what we're offering them.
Yeah.
Right, and what is the cost of that?
One point he did make that was kind of relevant is that the 6 month period that it has been operating, it's been like the winter months. It's not even the summertime.
Well, that's when I would think people would use it. Because the people are here visiting over the summer, they're already driving to get here.
Yeah,
So I would think during the winter months when us old people don't want to drive,
No, it's true.
Yeah, that's my thoughts. It's like somebody.
that's when you would have your highest demand.
Yeah, out of staters are not going to use it. If they got here by car, then they're probably going to use the car.
Right.
Well, and I don't want to subsidize visitors, so.
Well,
So my thoughts are for the micro, which is the $60,000. We don't have enough data on that, but we already funded it for this year. I would say that's probably where I want to continue. And I made the comment last year. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. Like, we didn't want to spend $10,000, but we're going to spend $60,000. Like, it didn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But I don't think there's enough data on whether it's working or not right at this moment. I would like to have a full year. So my suggestion would probably be to go ahead and fund that one. But the $10,000 bus stop is probably not being my recommendation until that gets advertised a little better and we see what the appetite of the town is.
You mean
Because Don said it best. I think it was Don. He said it last. He's like, you might not need it. You might not need it. Like, maybe
talking
this
about
makes
the
sense.
13,000?
13,000. Yeah, it was 10,000 last year. It's 13,000 this year. So let's see what the appetite of the town is, but let's not fund it this year. And you can make the argument that, well, you need to fund it to see what your appetite is, but I think that I don't want to bring it back just to cancel it in a year. So my thoughts are just not to fund it this year for the 13,000.
and before it didn't have a lot of ridership either. It was one or two people.
Yeah.
And it's very, very beneficial because the hours, I would say the hours aren't real conducive to anybody using either one of them unless they're retired and just want to get around town or whatever. Because you can't get to work on it, because the time you get to work, most places have already been working for an hour.
And I was thinking Sunset Variety, I know that it's, I was Googling it to make sure I knew the right place. Are there many, like complexes near there? I mean, I would think that she mentioned that a lot of people are giving up their cars. That's a long walk. for people to have to go and pick up that one bus stop. And he did, I know he mentioned that maybe there'd be something else on 302, but I would think it would be somewhere closer to where I would think people might.
Probably the best spot for it.
Right.
I mean, logistically, it's like, you're right. I mean, you put it by Good Life, but now you're increasing traffic there. Like, it makes sense for there because there's that big empty lot. And,
Where?
you know, just if you put it by Sunset, it's like, yeah, well, there's one thing there.
Where it's at now,
Other than,
where it was.
Other than
There's
that,
no
I think it's probably the best spot.
Place by Good
I just
Life.
think that there'd be more ridership if it
No
was
place
somewhere
by
closer
Good
to
Life.
places,
No.
people that don't.
The dollar store.
He's saying it
like,
wouldn't work.
Yeah, the
That's-
dollar store.
He said it wouldn't work.
No.
That area is very high traffic. Trying to get out of there, and it'll be, just any time. Just-
So just in my own head here, so if we don't fund the 13,000, doesn't that kind of kill half of the 63,000? Because they're using that to get to the ride to Portland. So this 63,000 gonna take them all the way to Portland?
No, $63,000 is only basically going to get them around town. It's an in-town
Right,
thing.
so I mean, if we take that 13,000 away, someone wants to go to Portland, now they can only go around town. They can't get to Portland or South Portland or whatever.
Right.
So I mean, I think that's a small dollar figure if somebody's actually gonna use that to go somewhere.
Absolutely.
That was-
I agree with that.
We understand, we're not sure if
Right.
there's a better need for people to get around town, or is there more of a need for somebody to get to Portland? And we don't have enough data on either one right now.
But I mean, we're pot committed at 63 now. I mean, if we don't put that 10 more in, it's not gonna get any good numbers because a lot of people they're not gonna use it because they wanna go to Wyndham or they wanna go to Portland, they wanna go to South Portland. Or they
I
get a
thought
doctor's
that
appointment.
I thought the microtransit took them to Wyndham.
So we'll take them
does,
to Wyndham so they can
yes.
grab a bus in Wyndham.
Yes.
Oh, then that's a no-brainer then, yeah.
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 All right. So
That would be the data right there. How many
Right.
people are using the micro to go to Wyndham because there's not a stop now?
Right.
If they're just using for in-town stuff and we're not going to Wyndham specifically, you can go to Wyndham,
Yeah.
that would be the way the data is. If you're going to Wyndham because you're getting groceries, that's one thing. If you're going to Wyndham because you have to go to Portland, then there's your data for the appetite.
You ought to be able to give us that information.
Right.
Offers ridership. How many people are continuing on?
I mean, I could lease a Corolla, insure it, and hire a part-timer for 1,000 hours and spend only $27,000.
We can't get part-time help. We've already heard that. Oh, wait a minute, it's between 9 and 4.
Well, I used to administer a program like this, and my employees were mostly volunteer and retired folks who were firefighters, nurses, and just they liked driving their neighbors around.
Yeah.
Right.
You get a volunteer dispatcher, answers the phone 2 times a week. You got to call ahead of time. You can do it. I mean, if you wanted to keep doing the service, but I think it would be hyper local. It would be, it would be part time. It wouldn't be 5 days a week, but you could do it cheaper than 63.
the only thing is ADA compatible.
So you don't have to be an ADA service unless you're getting those federal funds.
Oh.
So you could do semi-ambulatory. Folks who needed, who are non-ambulatory, would have to utilize what do they call it? An EMT service, a non-emergency medical transportation. But I mean,
I think that's what somebody was looking into, is like, how much is it to buy a vehicle and then do the service ourselves? And then I think Don said, I think it would have cost us more to do it with a proper vehicle.
if you do a CDL, passenger endorsed ADA accessible vehicle, who's trained how to strap down a wheelchair and all that stuff. But I mean, if you just wanted to run a supplemental sedan with part-timers and volunteers, there's some service you could do it for 1/4 of the price.
You use the Bolt, the town already
Bolt.
owns. You don't need, by the passenger load, you don't need a bus or even a van.
Right.
By what they're showing for numbers. Like I say, I'd like to know a lot more about what the usage really is.
Well, I'm sure you could actually ask for that report too, because so they use the same software that I used to use. So I've run those reports before, and I talked to GP-COG, I talked to GP Metro. He can run those reports based on ambulatory, non-ambulatory, semi-ambulatory. He can do unduplicated, which means, is that ridership counting back and forth for one person, or is that counting one person's round trip? you know?
Right, is
And
that
that was
two
a question
trips?
I had asked in an email, can you show unduplicated ridership, which is individuals.
One way.
Right.
Yeah. But so I don't know what that report is, if that's duplicated ridership or,
Yeah, I looked at it as one-way ridership when I looked at his numbers, but that's just the way I looked at it.
Did he say he was gonna run some reports for us and get back to us?
I can follow up. But like I said, I'd be most curious to see what's unduplicated and what's the mobility type.
I think we're interested in having a report.
Mobility type would be helpful too, because then the fire department could be aware of who has wheelchairs, and if they need to do an extrication, we could have an informal list of who might need help.
And that $63,000, is that built into what we have in this budget?
Yeah, I have his request changed from introduction, so I think it actually went down a little bit, but we had 75 budgeted initially for
Okay.
the
Yeah.
service.
So both services are budgeted in here?
No, I think he's actually less than we had planned.
Yeah, I think originally
So he
it
was
was
at
like
what, 70
67.
I think he was at 73 or something.
And originally, we put 75 in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that can
So that
come
would,
down.
that's actually budgeted to cover both these right now, less
Yeah,
a
because he's
thousand.
got the discount, just for the first year. Yeah, he included a discount rate.
Yeah, he must have changed it since introduction, so it came down a tiny bit.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm for the quick ride. I would like to hold off on the Lakes Region Explorer.
Would the committee like to make a recommendation to the select board on which way to go with this? Are we ready to do
tonight.
that, or
I'd like to have more information.
more information?
Well, so just process-wise, so you're all aware,
We got till next week.
yeah, they're going to have draft articles for Tuesday, and I think,
But they can still change them on Tuesday, right?
correct. So I would, yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't sure how the process works since I'm new.
That's what I thought, that Tuesday was, here's our presentation, and then we make our recommendations off their final
Yeah,
presentation.
because you'll meet again on the 1st and make, like, I guess you would go through, and you can refresh me on this process because it's new to me. Once they have the draft articles, you'll have them, then you'll take them at your next meeting and make recommendations.
You're right.
No, on April 1st, we actually vote on the recommendations.
Right, so they'll be
So-
finalizing the draft on Tuesday.
So at that point, we can't change them?
Exactly. We have to vote as the warrants are presented on April 1st.
So
On
this is the
April
only opportunity?
This is the only opportunity between now and next Tuesday.
Unless we have another meeting in between.
Yeah, or maybe designate a representative to go to the meeting, and if you have like recommendations to make at that meeting, then we can.
We should designate somebody to make recommendations.
Well, that doesn't give us any time if you're asking this gentleman to give you more figures. How are we going to have time then to go over different figures for any of these discussions?
Honestly, the time has passed, I think, for
It has to-
Could I make a comment?
Okay,
It's an agenda item, I guess.
yep, go ahead.
But as Peter's talking, my point was that his job was to convince us now, and I think that the time has passed.
This may be helpful just to get a little history, because I have a little history with this, as you know. From the comprehensive plan perspective, what generally we heard was, and what was in our last 2004 comprehensive plan, is we did have the bus, and it did stop in Raymond. And that was something that actually was helpful as far as getting a 2004 plan approved by the state, because we actually did have a form of transportation that individuals could use, period. The history was that at some point, a select board in particular, one individual in that select board felt that we should not be paying $10,000. We shouldn't be paying what every other town from Naples to Portland was paying. This individual felt and basically mounted a campaign to say, no, we're not going to pay $10,000 like everyone else. We're going to pay $4,000 or $5,000, and they'll just take it. And so RTP did take it for a while. Then supposedly RTP got some pushback from the other communities saying, how come Raymond isn't paying their share? We're all paying it. And so then they just withdrew. So we had no service whatsoever. But I just say that from the comprehensive plan perspective, what we were looking for was to reinstate the bus stop, because that then at least presented the state with the fact that the town was trying to provide some transportation other than private transportation. Then what happened is, I think the comment was made by Sean that, we went from, we won't pay $10,000 to be on the bus route, but we'll pay $67,500 for the van. At that point, I can recall speaking to the select board and saying, well, do we have any room to negotiate here? Such that maybe what we can do is for that $67,500, we not only get the mini service, but we also get the bus service, the bus stop back as well. And that fell on deaf ears, and there was no negotiation on the part of that select board, and nothing happened. So I guess my concern is this, and there's a number of ways to cut it, as Glenn was saying, as far as what can be provided. I do believe the onus of the responsibility of selling this is on the RTP. Last year, when they sold it, when he's recently become the manager of RTP. I was dealing with another fella before Mr. Libby, who retired. And at that time, what he was telling me and was telling the select board is, we want to use Raymond as the model, because Wyndham is the only other town that's picked this up, and they're basically doing it on a provisional or a pilot basis. And what we'd like to do is get other communities along the 302. So we'd like to use you as kind of our promotional for the other entities along 302. But once again, we never saw any other promotion. I have not seen any other communities join. Primarily, I would guess one of the solutions would be reinstate the bus. And if someone needs to get to Portland, what they do is they get an Uber for $10 or $12 to drive to the bus stop. And then it's $3 to take the bus into Portland. And so that's a fairly economical way, rather than right now with the numbers. If the ridership at the end of the year was 1,000 riders, and he reported, Mr. Libby, 348 rides for 5 months, that works out to $67.50 of the town of Raymond's subsidy for each ride. And I did hear some suggestion here, and Mr. Libby could think out of the box and say, well, why don't I do this? Why don't we up the charge from $3 to $6, charge a little bit more to ride into Portland from Raymond, and reduce the amount of money that we're charging the municipalities. So that's kind of the background. It went from, we had the bus stop, the ridership was low, I agree with that. I think if you were looking for numbers, one of the interesting numbers that Glenn was kind of suggesting is this. Of these 348 rides, individual rides in 5 months, how many were the same individual? How many citizens are we really serving? And believe me, I would be the first one to say we need to provide something for our senior citizens especially, as far as transportation. Prior to this, as one selectman made her case on going to this $67,500 price tag, was it was being done by the coordinator for volunteers. And they were upset that she was using her own car, wasn't getting any money for doing it. And, what would happen if there was a car accident and that stuff? And so that was one of the impetus for going forward with establishing this service through RTP. And also, I think it's a no-brainer. I think everyone in this room would realize going out and getting an accessible van, hiring someone with a license to drive it, and making that available Monday through Friday in this town, we couldn't do it as cheap as RTP. So that was also out. So I guess what I'd just say is my recommendation would be go back to, it's now 13,000. When we first started doing it, it was 7,000. But like everything else, it goes up. Pay the $13,000, reestablish the bus stop in Raymond, and advertise it. Get it out to the community that this is a potential. And like I say, it's just take the Uber. Thank you.
From a comprehensive plan, though, the Quick Ride is covering, not, I want to say covering it, but we do provide a service, so this is satisfactory. The Quick Ride is somewhat satisfactory to our comp plan that we initiated. Would you agree?
I would tell you this, that this was up, from my perspective on the comp plan, this was way above and beyond what I heard people asking for. What I heard in the comp plan, Sean, was basically, we want the bus stop back. That's what I was hearing.
So that would satisfy the comp plan, is the bus stop.
The other interesting piece of that is, I don't know when the last census kicked you into that urbanized zone, but it did. So it means you have access to urban funds. One of the things that I asked Don at that meeting, and I've reached out to GP Cog, I've reached out to DOT, and I can't really get a straight answer on, if you have a fixed route stop in your town and you're in the urbanized zone, that funding stream now becomes available within 3/4 of a mile of that bus stop for them to send a bus and that's what I had asked them for that 80-20 match. If you bring the fixed route stop back, would you apply for this grant and offset microtransit to supplement the service? Because that's what it's there for. So there's potential in bringing the stop back if the DOT and RTP and GP Cog were willing to prioritize that sort of funding to Raymond. It gives you access to that funding stream.
And would you not expect that the manager of RTP would come to this meeting armed with that information?
And I've asked, so that it's not a shot at him. I have not gotten a straight answer from DOT on it. I've not gotten a straight answer from really anybody, even when I worked with Western Main Transit.
Selling the service.
Well, and so there's a state plan that you can read, and it names the provider agencies, but it also reads that if the state and county aren't providing, then these named agencies are. So the region is covered by these named agencies. If the named agency isn't providing the service or accessing those funds, it can then fall to the municipality to be eligible to apply for those grants. So we have to start with the named agency, which is RTP, GP Metro. But if they, in theory, if they're turning that money down and there's a service gap, we should be able to access it ourselves. But that's where no one will give me an answer. So I know right now in the DOT approved TIP, the money's going to the city of Portland for 5310, and no one has asked for operating in the western region. So if we can exert some pressure on RTP from the surrounding communities and say, look, stop asking for bus replacements and ask for vans, ask for operating through the grant, and we'll kick in the match. Maybe that's a vehicle we can use. But it's there, and I just don't know why we can't access it. And like I said, I haven't gotten a good answer as to why. And when I asked DOT when I was at Lisbon for the same thing, because we got kicked in the urban zone, and I said, well, Western Maine said they're getting rural funds, they're not getting urban funds, so does that mean Lewiston has to pick us up because they're getting it? Because it's supposed to cover the region. And they're like, we don't know, everybody's new here. And I still never got an answer. So that funding is there for the folks in the urbanized zone, and we should be able to access it if they're not using it. But bringing the fixed route stop back is a start to starting to access those funds.
So we've already paid, or we're paying the $63,000 already for this year we're in now, right? So that's already done. So the only thing that we're really working about is the $13,000 to bring the bus back, correct?
So he reduced the microtransit.
Right.
He's bringing the stop back And I think it actually comes in a little less.
Comes in a couple thousand less than
Yeah.
what we've budgeted. And then I think that's a no-brainer, and we'll do that and get more data onto it. So if we want to know if we want to follow up to getting that and getting the advertisement out there to see if it's working. Because I mean, we're already committed to 63,000 that we can't get back. So now,
Well, you can walk away at any time according to the warrant article. So you can.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
you
He
can
said it was
cancel now
cancelable
if
at
you
any
wanted.
time.
I don't know if you can see my hand or whatnot, but
Nope.
this is Derek. We did this in the,
Your graphic's
we
still
let
up.
this thing go and said that we would do that per month so that once we got a good handle on ridership and things like that, we could cancel at any time. So that is an option. You don't need to go through with it any further than we already have. It can be canceled and picked up. It's not like you have to have one service to have the other. You can cancel one and pick the other one up. That's one thing. But the other thing, Sunset has changed ownership. So that parking lot is a little up in the air. There are two different people that own it now, and I don't know if you can leave cars there like you used to be able to do. So that would be something you have to check into before we basically clarify where the bus is.
And that's, to be honest, that's a fair statement. If we can't be parking cars there, or if they don't want it there, then we can't put the bus stop there. So that's what I'm thinking is not to fund it this year and then let's get the information that we need for next year and have a proper advertising of it. So we just say 10,000, you know, if we, I don't know, $13,000. I think that's a very good point. If we can't use the parking lot, or we can't put the stop there, we just funded something we can't use.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing too is, and my understanding from talking to GPCOG is those grants are opening now, at the end of April. I mean, we could ask RTP, put in an application now for the operating piece, and if you don't, we're gonna cancel the contract now.
That's
the
a very good idea.
$63,000 one.
Right.
Fair.
That's a good idea. I mean, and there's other alternatives. If there isn't parking at Sunset, there are other parking areas around this town that we could use, I'm sure.
It would have to be on 302 though.
Well, you got Tony's Food Land up there where that used to be. It's Family Dollar. I mean, you get that whole stretch there.
Right.
I think Gagnon owns that, right?
Not anymore.
No, he sold it.
It seems like there are other parking
Yeah.
alternatives to Sunset Variety.
Yeah, because the one thing I did glean from doing that research, when I would get those grants in New Jersey, it would typically take 6 years before delivery. But my understanding of how Maine DOT sort of handles it is they dish the money to the MPO, they put it in the tip, and if I don't, there really isn't a formal application. The MPO can just say, yeah, RTP, we're going to award you the next round, and you don't have to wait maybe as long. So I mean, if you could sneak in, maybe we could sneak in an ask to say, get the application in this year, and if it doesn't go in, it's not getting funded.
I like that idea. Do we want to put a motion to recommend to the select board to follow what Glenn suggested?
Can we make that motion for our time here, Glenn?
Maybe not to overcomplicate it, maybe just make the motion based on the appropriation, like what you want to see or not see, and I can sort of convey because they can cancel the contract at any time anyway. This would just be more for FY27, and just, you know, maybe the recommendation is, and just maybe to appropriate at whatever level you guys think is appropriate for 27, and then we can work on the 26 stuff sort of separately, like as a, I don't know, I just don't want to overcomplicate the order, if you know what I mean.
I know.
Do you have a good grasp on what we're?
Yeah, I think
just
we're on
bring that.
agreement, which is
Can you
like,
just bring that
we have an
forward?
opportunity between now and the end of the year to get some grant funding, and if we don't see an effort, like, we're not really interested in. And the other thing too is there are other services out there who are interested.
Right. Like the GP cog, right?
Yes.
So, I'm just trying.
Or GP Metro, I'm sorry.
Um,
They're more expensive though, but they are interested.
I'm just trying to figure out a vehicle to get the message to the select board of how
I think they've already
I would
heard
like
it.
to see. I know, but I'd like to have it a little bit more formal than just
Yeah, it's getting late. I'm trying to think of a way to
Yeah.
simplify the recommendation.
So there's two pieces. Are you saying both pieces you would continue?
I think the fixed route is helpful because it gets you access to those other funds if you wanted to expand microtransit further down the road. I think part of that funding formula is predicated on being within a certain distance of a stop. So if you're gonna, but to Derek's point, I mean, it's a policy decision, like what's important to you as a board, you know, what type of service do you want to provide? You know, I can't really speak for the community in that sense.
Okay, but it sounds like we have some time before the implementation for 27. So what you had suggested is that we try to get that information and go for the fixed stop. But if,
So are you saying just the 13,000?
for 27,
That's what I'm saying. There's kind of two pieces. Are you
Right.
saying one, both, either or? Which one are you talking
I
about?
think it's so hard because we, like you said, we don't know if maybe that's two people who
I
are
know.
just going to the Wyndham stop to pick up the bus.
Yeah, so it
or
sounds like we
that's
want
the hard thing.
unduplicated ridership.
I guess I'm just not impressed with the program at all.
Mobility type.
Because he came to present and I have zero information. You're asking us to make a decision on zero information. Those numbers really don't mean anything. Is that one person?
I know, I agree.
Is that one ride? Is that a round trip? I have no idea what to do with that number. So how do I decide? Who does the marketing? Do they do the marketing? Does our town do the marketing?
I think it's a partnership. I mean, if they put the material together because they know their program, I would disseminate it and get it out where it needs to go. But
I don't believe they did any last year. We put it in the Roadrunner.
because I don't know
Isn't
the
that what
phone
happened? The
number, I
town
don't know
put it in
what
the
their window
Roadrunner?
open. You know,
Yeah,
they
the
would
town
have to
put
put
it
all
in
that
the
together for us.
All right.
And that's all it was. It wasn't anything more than that.
It was in the
That
paper?
One of the weeks that the Roadrunner didn't go out.
Right.
Is there a way you could put into that grant money for doing the?
Only if a named agency in the state plan doesn't go for it. We're then next in line. And that was my question. I think I'm next in line. No one's going for it. And they're like, we'll have to get back to you. So, no, I never got an answer from DOT. Question is still unanswered.
I'm just asking, could we get some money also to help to do the publicity on it?
Yeah, I mean, operating's operating. You know, it's whatever your operating budget is.
All right, yes, if you're gonna do it, somebody needs to make concerted effort to let people know it's available and how they would access it and what it can do for them.
Right.
I mean, that whole idea that you can go from your house, pick up a bus, go to Portland, get a transfer, go to the mall, go wherever you need to go for $3 to $6, has to be a good idea to someone, especially if you're going into Portland, you're paying for parking. Because the parking in Portland can cost you $35, $40, $45 for half a day.
$3 won't even buy you a gallon of gas today, so
No.
you can't drive there.
Right. All right, so,
I don't think my
What is-
solar panels go through the.
so we still don't have an answer on what the recommendation is. I don't know if we're in a position to make a recommendation at this point.
Maybe just recommend that the select board consider, you know, reducing the appropriation for the RTP service, you know, pending either more information or, you know, that they're committed to finding alternative funding streams to supplement the service. I don't know, just trying to think of a simple way to say.
That sounds
Yeah.
reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. I think would be.
I'm not sure if I want to ask this question or not. All the work that's been done from the previous committees on the comprehensive plan, is not having that going to affect that?
No, basically the discussion about establishing transportation was a goal.
Peter, we can't hear you.
Yeah, establishing transport within the town is listed under the goals. So it's not a commitment. It's other than that we would explore it.
We won't lose any funds or
No.
any,
No.
anything's up.
Right. Okay. Any other topics of discussion or questions or concerns? Okay, ready to adjourn?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I won't. I was going to say, do you want to formalize that recommendation about the toters as a portion of fund balance as a?
Yeah. So how do I do that?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess I could just bring that information back to the select board. And
My recommendation, you just reduce that request for next year by whatever the number was.
Was he saying 100,000?
I thought he
Part of
said
that
it was
budget amount?
119,000, something like that. I didn't write it down.
So with the savings from the dumpsters, you've got roughly 15 plus the 90 he was budgeting to rent. So you're, yeah. So then there's a portion of the TIF that might be in the footprint, and I think the unspent TIF balance is 86. I don't know how much you can get out of that, but you got to come up with 408 total
So you
to
take-
buy them, and
So but you don't do that till next year, right?
you can choose when to implement, and
Well,
then
that way you don't have to raise the money this year.
you don't have to.
Because you're not gonna be able to implement it for over a year. So there's no reason to have 8,000 of these things, and they'll only go 75 to a 75-foot trailer.
I thought he said, though, it has
It's
to-
in the,
He can choose when he
July 1,
wants to
right?
do July 1.
Oh,
that's the recommendation, that you take the cost of the totes out of the budget for this year. And know that you've got to do it next year, but that would reduce your overall by 100 grand.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was 100 grand.
115, and then bite the bullet next year.
I agree.
Do you have to vote on the recommendation, or?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So would you like to pose that as a motion?
I will make a motion that the solid waste line be reduced by the cost of the totes on for the new contract that's already been signed, because that change won't happen for a year. So that puts $100,000, roughly $100,000 off what needs to be raised this year. That'll have to be raised the following year.
Okay, how about if we do the motion that we recommend that not fund $100,000 towards the totes for this year?
That's the easiest. Yeah, in the waste management line, that's the easiest way to put it.
Question though, so it's 408 for the totes.
Before we have any discussion, we need to have a second, and then we'll have the discussion. So is there a second to the motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, now there's discussion.
Okay, that number, the $100,000, that's accurate, right? Because it's $408,000 for the totes.
So he didn't budget to buy them this year. We built the budget on leasing. So the 90 is earmarked for the lease of the totes. So, and the 15's coming from the dumpsters that he was able to negotiate cheaper. So you can reduce roughly 115 from this year's budget, but you would have to purchase the totes in the coming year.
Following.
So we would just.
Yeah, that's all. Just reduce the cost of the totes on them.
Because I want to purchase them, I don't
Okay,
want to
just
lease them.
Oh, I want to purchase them, but you don't have to purchase them this year because you
I
can't
understand.
use them.
What Glenn was saying was the $81,000 was to lease.
Right, it was built on
Built to lease.
the lease.
So we just take, as you said, take it all out this year and then buy it.
And I was impressed that Toto, or whatever the outfit is, will, number one, it's a 10-year warranty on them, and number two, that they will come place them, and that takes a big load off. You know, we might have to hire another 5 people for the town just to put them together and distribute them, other words.
Yeah, it'd be a be a whole ordeal itself. You can get volunteers maybe.
Have it on voting day, make a party out of it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Build your own tote day.
Yes,
Okay, so that's
it's the
Okay, is there any more discussion on the motion? Okay, all those in favor of the motion? Okay, any opposed? None opposed, so the motion carries. All right, any further discussion or questions? No? All right, are we ready to adjourn for the evening?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay,
second.
all right, all those in favor? All right, we are adjourned.